Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? So, uh, hello, YouTuber. Odo. Actually, let me start off even why I'm doing this. So, I made like a 2-hour rant of me just basically sitting here recording myself, talking about, uh, the things that I agree and disagree with this video, because I feel a lot of points that he brings up are silly and not really a problem at all. And, some points that he brings up are absolutely truth and just factual information, and that, they need to be changed. But the problem is after looking back at the footage, I realized that it was all corrupted and none of it like properly recorded, and it basically just looked like a slideshow and then only captured like every other word that I said. So that was very fun. I said, fuck it, I'm doing it live, because I was basically doing it live anyway, except I was just recording it. But yeah. Hello, Danger, how you doing? So apologies if my voice sounds a little bad. It's because my, what's it called? I sat here for like literally 2 hours, like yapping about this shit, and now the footage is completely worthless, so I have to basically do it again. So first off, I want to say that I've seen Doe for a while. I've seen a lot of his like shorts content. I've seen a lot of his like videos pop up on my feed. I think he's an excellent content creator. I think he is very knowledgeable about a lot of the things that he talks about in this game. But I do think a couple of his points are a little bit hypocritical. I think he is being a little bit too uh, demonizing of certain player types. I think he is being a little bit too, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Basically, bottom line is, I don't think he's bad. I don't think he is a horrible person. I don't think anything bad about him. I just think that a couple of his opinions are a little bit short-sighted, and he's not really looking at like what the game actually is. Anyway, so let's get into it.
The balanced choices for enemies and weapons in many cases are ruining the fun and fantasy and helldivers too. Virtually everything I say will have an example to show what I'm talking about. Plenty of timestamps down below, and before we get started, I do not hate the game and I don't dislike the devs as people. I've met a few of them in person in Sweden. They're awesome. But as developers, something is going wrong. And it's
Okay, so right off the bat, back here he said this.
talking about. Plenty of times too. Virtual enemies and weapons in many cases are ruining the fun and fantasy and helldivers too.
Already disagree. This game already has plenty of great power fantasy, and the enemies are mostly fun to kill. I already disagree with like what he is saying here. There's plenty of weapons that are like totally viable and totally fun to use. I don't really understand what he's even talking about here.
Virtually
I
everything
mean, I
I
did
say
because
will
I
have
watched
an
the whole video
example to
already.
show
But
what I'm talking about. Plenty of timestamps down below. And before we get started, I do not hate the game and I don't dislike the devs. It's been going on for a year. A quick word to the valiant glazed divers out there. The devs are all.
this is another word you're going to hear him toss around like 1,000 times is glazed divers. He constantly brags about people being glazed divers when I believe in, like, obviously there are people that are just like glazing the fucking game and like are blind and won't like, see issues. People around the world do that with just like any topic whatsoever. But I do think some of the things that he brings up are like genuinely fine, and they are just unironically skill issue. You're gonna hear him talk about people talking about saying skill issue as well. But I genuinely think a lot of things that he is talking about in regards to skill issue are very bad, and he needs to just kind of like chill. Context for some of his opinions on certain play groups. I think he's gotten to a bit of a boiling point. Actually, I need to move this to my chat. There we go. Hey, Lloyd, how you doing? Let me continue. Kind of a bit of a boiling point because in his live stream he's getting rage baited a lot, low, not excusing it. Okay. I mean, that's perfectly fine. I mean, like, if he's just getting annoyed by, people rage baiting or whatever. Because, like, obviously, I think, like, I would say about, like, 70 to 80% of what he said is factual and, like, totally, like, worth looking at. But I think, like, 20% is, like, him just kind of being, like, annoyed for, like, no reason. And there isn't really, like, a reason to, like, try to change that part of the game. But I'll get into that in a little bit. I don't name a name, but a certain helldiver content creator uses AI for thumbnails and makes absolute slap content. I don't even know. I'm gonna be real. I don't know who that is.
Always
All right, how you
asking
doing?
for
I'm doing all right.
feedback. Don't believe me? Take their word for it. Also, check out these stickers down below in the pinned comment. All too often in the games industry, the core fantasy and what makes a
The thing that he talked about right here is that they take a lot of feedback. They do. They take a shit ton of feedback. They take so much feedback, and they shape the entire game around feedback. Like the Helldivers devs take so much feedback, and they fucking do so much with it. So like anyone who says like they don't, you're insane. Like
weapon feel good and fun is ignored for the sake of balance. I believe players are scared of nerfs because it will ruin the fantasy of a weapon, ruin their fun. It is extra important to us to tread carefully so that we don't ruin fantasy and fun when we do nerfs. We hope you, our players, will tell us when we cross that line inadvertently. Those words were written by Patrick Lesota, the design director and the person in charge of how Arrowhead takes feedback and balances the game, on March 25th, 2024. Maybe the devs are being sincere in saying they don't want to ruin fun and fantasy, but the issue is that they are doing just that. Their focus on grunt fantasy has led to so...
Disagree. They're not ruining fantasy. I think there are so many things in this game that you cannot do in any other game. Name a singular other game where I can throw down a 500 kg bomb and then fucking laugh into the fucking sky like a madwoman and then explode and kill like 700 people. Name another game.
So many things that are super niche and otherwise fun being removed, and for no good reason. We had the ability to land on high ground, which makes sense, taken away from us. And that led to a year-long issue that still happens today where you can't steer your hellpod because a structure is seen as too tall.
This is one thing that I absolutely agree with. I think the like lock position whenever you're dropping in after someone calls you in or when you initially spawn is very annoying because of the structure being too tall. This problem happens a lot in caves as well. It happens a lot mainly on the bug front because you're trying to like throw somebody into a nest area and then you're not able to go in, and then like in this clip right here, he's trying to go in here but he can't and he gets directed towards over here.
And you legit get locked in place and landed in a horrible position.
It's very, very horrible.
For some reason, something was preventing me from moving my hellpod in a advantageous position. You can't place stratagems on high ground, leading to stratagem balls bouncing. But certain maps don't have that coding built in, and you can place it on high ground, and it feels good. It makes sense.
Agreed. So another thing I want to add to that is that high ground is a tactical thing that you can use or whatever. A lot of things in Helldivers you could use like your brain. You can be tactical about your decision making. You can use your brain basically. And I think that using high ground is a very good strategy. I think that that is fine and that is good and it should be able to be used. Another thing is like if you're on top of high ground and you're not going somewhere, you're not doing an objective or whatever. So, I mean, unless like, you know, the objective is nearby or whatever and like you're defending a point or whatever, like say like a generator area or some shit, right? Or like an eradicate or just something of that sort. But at the same time, is it really bad? Is it bad that you want to, you know, your players are saying, hey, I'm using my brain to get on top of this structure to get a significant advantage on my enemy. Is that bad? No, it's not at all.
Cannot climb the majority of ankle-high structures, giving you the no climb symbol. But the enemies can now all of a sudden scale stuff, phase through structures, and they can dematerialize themselves to the point that matter means nothing. But we aren't allowed to get a little bit of high ground. You have melee going from heavy pin inadvertently, and that getting fixed. Don't show the devs. But why? Nobody really even used melee weapons.
Also,
so having that insanely niche playstyle being a...
Like you said, insanely niche. They were not really used at all. They're more of just a meme. And then them being buffed to heavy pin, or not buffed, but like accidentally made into heavy pin. And then being able to just not be used anymore now. Pretty feels Batman moment. I think that they should make that shit heavy pin again. Because it was fun. Useful. It wasn't really like that good, but it was just fun. So, the change stuff also works on the ground. You can climb and just... Yep. That's also
another thing. No big deal. It doesn't break the game. Melee weapons aren't meta because of it. They were just fun to use.
Exactly.
The FRV, an issue that I raised in the official Discord personally and got no response to. I said it's kind of weird how you can't reload while driving the FRV anymore, or you can't switch guns while driving. And instead you have to switch seats and do both those things. And then after raising that concern in the Discord, showing evidence and everything, now you can't reload in the passenger seat either unless you're hanging out the window.
So for the driver, like, this is one point that I was kind of just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're telling me you want to be able to reload a recoilless rifle while driving a car. Like, bro, we have laws against, distracted driving for a reason, gang. Like, but no, jokes aside, like, I don't really think, like, you not being able to reload in the driver's seat is that big of a deal, right? Because it's a car. You're supposed to have multiple people in the car with you. Now, not being able to reload in the passenger seat whenever you're sitting in the car is an issue. Because you have to be doing it while you're peeking out of the window, like you've shown here.
You said that when the game first came out, you don't want to have meta, so you nerf the shield breaker, the shield backpack, breaker, and railgun.
Swinging by, I hope y'all have
and
a
now
great
you're
stream.
enforcing
Thank
the
you.
hardest
I'm only gonna
metas
be
we've
live
ever
for this
seen in the
video and
game's
then I was
history.
gonna hop off.
Is the goal to be hypocritical? Is the focus on grunt fantasy so damning that you don't care if the game design and the believability of the game's balance just goes out the window? Because that's what it looks like right now. You release enemies that don't have a semblance of meaningful counterplay, because they're essentially just the same thing as a other variant, except deadlier, more mobile, and in some cases tankier for no good reason.
So I disagree and agree with this. He brings up the Dragon Roach as a topic for this, but he also brings up the War Strider later, I believe. The War Strider, I believe, has significant counterplay. It is way slower than a Hulk. It is way slower than most enemies on the automaton front. And its weak spot is very, very, very easy to hit. No counterplay shows Dragon or... Well, no, so for example, most things, Rex, right? I agree with him for the Dragon Roach. It is literally just a better Bile Titan. There's, like... It's so obnoxious to deal with like, no real, like, hey, Because, like, for example, let's say you're fighting a normal Bile Titan. You can take a recoilless, you can take a rail cannon strike, you can take multiple things to one-shot that enemy, right? And that's fine. With the Dragon Roach, can't really do that sometimes. Like, it's a lot harder to one-shot a Dragon Roach than it is a normal Bile Titan with no, like, what's the word I'm looking for? With no, repercussions or whatever to its gameplay. It is literally just a better Bile Titan with no downsides, pretty much. I guess, like, they can't go indoors. Lol. Like...
Example being the Dragon Roach. That's a flying Bile Titan with essentially mostly the same breakpoints. There's some caveats here and there.
Yep.
That is deadlier, faster, and it has broken hitboxes. You get hit by hard, it doesn't actually hit you,
yep.
and it
they spawn
destroys
about,
you
like,
instantly
a minute?
in some cases.
Or
In
like
practically
30
every
seconds around
sense,
there,
it's a buffed Bile Titan with no downsides. And this thing spawns on level 5 difficulty in droves. Every 40-ish seconds, give or take some time, it varies,
yep.
You'll see a Dragon Roach. Yet, you can't kill it faster than a regular Bile Titan, and honestly, it's more difficult because the weak spot is far harder to hit. It's moving, and the angle is less forgiving. The new Rupture strain...
So, a lot of people, like, will rage bait him and say, like, oh, that's a skill issue. But no, I genuinely think that, like, that is a problem. Like, that is a problematic enemy that needs to go back to the drawing board. That is fine. There are some enemies, though, that he's going to complain about that I think are a skill issue and that he should just, like, fucking learn. Because, like, I think this dude has, like, 2,000 fucking hours in Helldivers right now. Like, if you can't deal with these enemies with 2,000 hours, gang, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like...
Outside the charger, have the annoyances of many enemies combined. The Rupture Warrior can pounce at you, which folks are saying is a host bug and it shouldn't be the case. Rupture Warriors do not correctly track moving clients when attacking. I'd go out on a limb and say that means that they're not as accurate as they should be for the folks that aren't the host.
Yeah, so, as you said there, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, it's a host bug. Only the host has to deal with it, right? But then they made it to where the Rupture Warriors are now able to... Or, well, not anymore, because they took it out, or took them down. But whenever they did push this patch live, they basically were tracking everyone like they were the host, or whatever. And everyone was hating them. So...
I'm pretty sure that's the intended behavior. They may change it because folks don't like it, and they may raise enough awareness that, hey, this kind of sucks.
Yep,
but
it does suck.
I'm pretty sure they don't want those things just missing you. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense in their grunt fantasy worldview. Rupture Warriors now track moving clients accurately, leveling the difficulty level of attacks between client and host. Now you have the entire group getting hit by things that a human can't react to. And even when you can, it doesn't matter. The QA lead said something I have 2 major problems with. It's unfortunate that the fix means more people are getting hit by an arguably unfair attack. We're
Look at
looking
that, bro.
into how the rupture enemies have landed, but that's a broader issue. Don't look into it. Just look at it, brother.
Exactly.
That's all
Just
you have to
look at
do.
it.
Look at it with your monitor turned on. They turned on their...
For example, that enemy right there, right? It would just jump out. It would just immediately hit you with like 0 reaction time, and you couldn't really do anything about it. It was so fucking awful dog shit. I hated it so much. The counter to it was to use either explosives or use like plasma, but at the same time, most enemies in this game, I'm going to bring up this point again later, but most enemies in this game, for example, prime candidate, a devastator, they have a counter type like ability that you can do, which is like, you know, using explosives, using medium pen, using heavy pen, etc. But they also have a smaller like, hey, it's a little bit harder to hit this, but since you don't have my 100% counter, you know, you could still do this feature here, and that's the headshot. And that's why I brought up in my Liberator versus Liberator Penetrator video, where you can hit the headshot. You can, it's a little bit harder to do so, and it is just kind of a skill issue, I'm going to be real. But if you do that, you're able to significantly cut the time to kill in half or whatever. More than half, actually.
Their monitors. Rupture strain are going offline for...
But the rupture strain doesn't really have that. When they go under the ground, the only thing that can affect them is like explosive type things. So if you have anything, any other thing in the game, you can't really deal with them. So that's where a problem with the rupture strain lies. They don't really have like a, hey, this is my counterplay, but here's a slightly less counterplay. Here's my counterplay, but here's a slightly less counterplay that you can still use if you're good enough. They don't really have that.
essentially
It's either just you have the counterplay or you get shit on.
the next 5 weeks so they can get reworked. The bile
And yeah, they took
rupture
them off
spewers.
to rework them, which is really
Those
good.
dudes will aimbot you through a rock, erupt, you can't even tell, and then 100 to O you in no time flat because they have the same damage as a regular bile spewer. And in both cases, they take a lot of damage to
That's a skill issue. Like if you're getting snuck up on by a bile spewer and you're not being aware of your surroundings, that's just a skill issue. I'm sorry.
kill, unless you're using explosive weapons. And that's the meta here. Bring explosive weapons. Where is the...
Also, somewhat disagree. You don't have to bring explosive weapons. You can bring gas. You can bring lots of things that make it to where they're not like nearly as effective. I have a whole fucking video on gas. Another thing. You can bring plasma weapons. Plasma weapons at times are even better than some explosive weapons. Because, for example, let's say you shoot an explosive round, but you have like Rupture Warrior from the left, and then Rupture Warrior from the right, and Rupture Warrior from the middle, right? And they're coming at you from like three totally different cardinal directions. If you shoot that Rupture Warrior underground, you have to then pan over, look right, reload, or rack the bolt and shit like that, and then shoot again. Or if you have like a grenade launcher or whatever, but grenade launcher is just a given. I'm talking about like main primary weapons. Crossbow as well. It's totally acceptable. Plasma weapons, you can shoot that enemy underground, but most of the time just like flat out killing them if you use like a fully charged like purifier shot. And then you can immediately pan over very quickly. Immediately already have another shot charging. Also, you don't even have to charge what's it called? You don't really have to charge the thing anyway. You can just like shoot it once and it'll be fine. I don't entirely go with the skill issue because the game gets really chaotic and hard to keep your 360 whatever sometimes. Getting one shot by a spewer from behind sucks. Okay, counter argument. Literally any other enemy would do the exact same shit. The normal spewer would do the same shit. A charger would do the same shit. A bile titan would do the same shit. Like, you can raise that exact point. Like, it's literally anything. If you're constantly focused and all that other thing, an incinerator core fucking automaton walking up behind you with a shotgun will one-shot you as well. Every other enemy in the game could just walk up behind you and fucking one-tap you pretty much if you're not paying attention. Except, of course, like, the little bitty baby bugs or whatever, but...
the variety. And people talk about adapt to the new meta. There is no new meta. Explosive weapons like grenade launcher have been meta against the bugs since forever because Alpha Commander spam, Hive Guard spam, and not to mention bile spewers, nursing spewers. Those 4 different seeds you can get, grenade launcher is very good on. There's currently 3.2 thousand divers on the Hive world with cave missions, rupture strain, Hive lords.
Also, all those things that he just mentioned as well, you can use arc, you can use electricity, you can use gas, you can use fucking fire. You know, you can use all these other things. You don't have to use explosive things. It's not like a entirely like, oh, if you use this, or if you don't use this, you're trolling or whatever. Sure, like the grenade launcher is significantly easier. That's why it's called the meta. It's the most effective tactic available. Or most easy, whichever version of the acronym you prefer.
Dragon roaches, all the new content. And there's more than that on one sector for Illuminate, which, by the way, is easily the most hated faction in the game by far. You have the automatons with War Striders. Those...
I mean, yeah. That's because, as of right now, right? We had the bugs for, like, literally, like, a week plus just constant bug, right? And people are kind of tired of it, and so they want to swap to a different thing. I don't really think that that's, like, an indication that it's, like, bad, but, you know.
The most hated faction in the game by far. You have the automatons with War Striders. Those things are absolutely horrendous, considering for the past year, folks have told you that bunker turrets are not engaging. They ragdoll you. There's not much counterplay. All you can't kill me.
Bunker turrets were extremely annoying, yep. I agree.
He shot 3 times. You make the Hulks have bunker turret arms, and players say that also makes no sense. Please just burn it with fire. Get out of here. You reduce the bunker turret's accuracy and then drop Leviathans that have 4 bunker turrets that can ragdoll you and aimbot you from Narnia, one tapping you in heavy explosive resist armor, which can still happen, by the way. Then you release War Striders. These have 2 bunker...
Okay, but like, for example, like right here, if you're sitting here,
explosive resist armor, ragdoll you and aimbot you from Narnia, one tapping you in heavy explosive resist armor, which can...
He's sitting there and then dies and then complains about dying because he sat still. Like, who's going to be sitting still anyway? They don't 100% laser beam track you anymore. So unless you're sitting still, then you kind of deserve to die.
By the way. Then you release War Striders. These have 2 bunker turrets firing a barrage of 4 shots each, and the interval between attacks is not long at all, and they can one-shot you. These are essentially the Hulks because in many cases they replace Hulk seeds. You have War Strider seeds, Hulk seeds, and sometimes a mix of both. Yet they're tankier, deadlier, and far more oppressive. Where is the semblance of balance whatsoever?
Where's the semblance of balance? The semblance of balance is that enemy is significantly slower.
And the one shot, by the way, is because you get hit in the chest.
Look at all of these clips that he has.
4 shots each, and the interval between attacks
Look at all of them. Look how far they move.
And they can one-shot you. These are essentially the Hulks because in many cases they replace Hulk seeds. You have War Strider seeds, Hulk seeds, and sometimes a mix of both. Yet they're tankier, deadlier,
look how fast this motherfucker's moving. He's like my fucking anorexic fucking grandmother.
Where is the semblance of balance whatsoever? And the one shot, by the way, is because you get hit in the chest, it's going to cause you to bleed. That bleed will kill you.
Is it annoying? Sure. Like, the bunker turrets are fucking annoying. I don't think he really cares about the grenades. The bunker turret, like, cannons can be annoying. They ragdoll you a bunch. I get that. But it's saying fucking that has, like, no counterplay or whatever it's just factually wrong. Like, this enemy is so fucking slow, it allows you to hit any heavy, like, thing on it. Unironically, a level 1 player can take this thing out with a single stratagem. It's the precision strike. That's the stratagem you get at the start of the game. It's so fucking still that you can throw a precision strike and run the fuck away and you'll be perfectly fine.
You so fast because you're ragdolled, you can't stem. Since they also felt the need to make bleed damage essentially 10 times what it used to be, since players weren't really afraid of bleeding.
Also,
love that change.
In a lot of these clips, right, he's not taking cover. You know, he's not in proper cover. He's out in the open, exposed and shit like that, right? One of the big gameplay fundamentals about fighting the bots is taking cover against bots and then poking your head out and then suppressing them with your fire. Because if you suppress them, their accuracy gets significantly reduced as well. So, I think the ragdolling, but that's a larger issue than just War Striders. Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like, the ragdolling is annoying. I get that. The bunker turrets that just, like, you know, knock you over instantly. That's frustrating. I get that.
Cannot. Wow.
It's been a very well-known thing that the bots ragdoll you, or at least back then, bots used to ragdoll you, like, so fucking much. You were on the ground ragdolled more than you were actually playing the game. Which is understandable, and they changed that for quite a bit of enemies. Do I think it's perfectly fine now? No, I think some shit could probably be changed, of course, like he was mentioning, the Striders knocking you down and then bleeding you, and then you just die. For example, I don't think as many people would be annoyed if it knocked you down, but then didn't bled you, and then you were able to heal and then get back up and then play. But since they knock you down, like in this clip right here,
weren't really afraid of bleed damage, essentially 10 times what it used to be, since players weren't really afraid of bleeding.
And bled.
Love that change. Cannot. Wow, we need more of that in the game. Bleeding.
Like,
essentially
sure,
10 times
it's kind of a skill issue
used to be,
because he sat so close to a fucking mine and then blew it up and then died, right? Like, that is kind of his fault. I get it, right?
Really afraid of bleeding. Love that change. Cannot.
But is it still frustrating? Yes, it is still frustrating.
Wow, we need more of that in the game. We don't die fast enough. Now, when you're bleeding, you just die.
But, like, you see what I mean? Like this clip right here is a good example, but this clip right here is kind of just, like, silly. Like, he sat there, you shot at a mine right next to you, and then ragdolled and then complained about dying. Like, what the fuck? He's like...
Oh, we need more of that in the game. We don't die fast enough. Now, when you're bleeding, you just die, in many cases. There's no counterplay there at all. It's just extra damage and cost in many cases.
So for example, like this one right here.
We don't die fast enough. Now, when you're bleeding, you just die.
He gets hit by one singular thing from an enemy that he can not even really react to or see, and then just instantly dies on the ground.
There's no counterplay there at all.
That is a good example. That is
extra damage and causing you to die more often. That's the goal. They're trying to make the game as difficult as they can in the laziest and most arbitrary way possible. Maybe not on purpose, but that's what's happening. And I don't know what the end goal is either, because they're not fixing things that would actually make the game more challenging in a 4-man. For instance, the Alpha Commanders not spawning Alpha Warriors for, I don't know, the past year.
I'm surprised you didn't touch on invisible mines in the vid. Those are just like bugs or whatever. Like, he mentions a couple of bugs or whatever, but he said in the vid also that, like, he's not even talking about, like, a lot of, like, the bugs. He's talking more about, like, the fundamental, like, design philosophy of the game.
That hasn't been fixed if you're in a 4-man or 3-man group. After the update to fix the host issue.
They got hit by the War Strider because contact mines don't bleed you. Well, if you look back here, right?
Bleed damage, essentially 10 times what it used to be, since players weren't really need to make bleed damage essentially 10 times what it used to be, since players...
What happened was he got hit in the chest by somebody else first.
Essentially
so I'll slow it down real quick, right?
Times what it used to be.
So right
since players...
there, he gets hit by an enemy on the left, which looks just like a normal, like, run-of-the-mill, like, laser from, like, your grunt enemy. And then he starts bleeding, and then he ragdolls himself from the mine and then falls down and dies.
Weren't really afraid of...
But, like, I still totally understand it. The bleeding is fucking annoying. Like, as a woman, I bleed every month, bro. I get it, trust me.
That hasn't been fixed if you're in a 4-man or 3-man group. After the update to fix the host issues, Alpha Commanders still cannot spawn minions
cover,
if the
courage,
host
and more
is
cover.
not
Yep,
near them.
Exactly.
But now there's issues. Alpha Commanders still cannot spawn minions if the host is not near them.
This is another issue right
now
here
they're
as well.
spamming with more Alpha Commanders in missions. So if you're solo or duo, you actually see how annoying those enemies are. If you're in a 4-man, you don't notice it. Oh, the game's so easy, guys.
Yeah,
because the 30 freaking Alpha Commanders aren't spawning
exactly.
90 minions. And don't forget, Alpha Commanders raise their children and send them off to fight you, and then walk away. Beta Parent, Beta Commander. You've changed Chargers, Charger Behemoths, and Impaler.
This is another thing I think that they should bring back. This right here. What he's going to talk about, the Charger leg buff.
Just making their legs tankier once they're exposed, which doesn't make any sense at all. And way back when you said, we're humbled by the community's ability to find things like Charger's leg meta in our game. However, spending your heavily anti-tank weapons on legs instead of the obvious weak points seems counter to expectation. Breaking leg armor and taking forever to kill it once it's exposed is also very counter to expectation. We are not changing anything regarding the Charger's legs, which was true at the time. Except now they take almost twice the damage to be killed once their legs exposed, which makes a lot of guns that are not great at going for the face, which is tankier, feel less enjoyable. What is the point in giving us less options?
So, I think that this is a very, very, very good criticism. This is very, very good. So my love for helldivers is that you have multiple different tactics, like I was explaining with the order of I'll call it the order of operations for taking down an enemy, I guess. I'm going to trademark that. But the ability to, what's it called? I see your comment about the flamethrower. What's it called? I'll comment about that here in a minute as well. But the ability to have, like, your first and foremost, for example, let's say you're fighting a Charger, right? Obviously, number one thing to kill it, we're talking stratagem weapons at least. Recoilless directly to the fucking forehead, boom, insta kill, dead. Awesome, great, good shit. Feels really satisfying, feels good. And then I think second should be you know, obviously like your lower, like more middle class like weapons. Like flamethrower I would probably put a little bit under like recoilless, like in terms of should be able to do X, Y, or Z. Just because it's, you know, it's a fucking flamethrower, it's cool. And also judging by their philosophy on how like fire works nowadays, should adapt that more. But ignoring the flamethrower for a little bit, thermite nades, yeah, we're talking about support weapons, so like support weapons that like you hold in your hands and you shoot. I'm not talking about like eagles or orbitals or rail cannons or anything like that, you know. Just talking about like your average like hold in your hand support weapons. Anyway, back on point. I think other weapons, such as like, for example, like a railgun, a grenade launcher, should be able to break the leg off, and then you swap to your primary, and then probably shoot like a mag and a half, like on like your average like liberator, and then that should be able to kill it. I am a big fan on that style of gameplay because obviously it's not as good as like your recoilless rifle. It's not going to one-shot it, but you're rewarded for using all the weapons in your arsenal, which is shoot it in the leg a couple times, the leg armor pops off, or like shoot it in the body, you know, the body armor pops off, just anywhere where armor can like be exposed, and then you can shoot the fleshy bit, and then swapping to your primary weapon and taking it out. That's a fun, good gameplay mechanic. I like that. But they don't really want you doing that anymore. They just want you kind of shooting it with a recoilless or whatever, which is a little bit boring. Rewarded for creativity, exactly. That is exactly what I like, Kaiju. I like Helldivers because it allows you to play multiple different playstyles and feel like you're rewarded for it. Dragon used to be able to break off the leg armor until it got nerfed the hell and back. Yep, exactly. And it was due to a bug, especially like for like Bile Titans or whatever, which I'm pretty sure he talks about later as well. But yeah. I think it takes a mag and a half for the rig lib to kill exposed leg already now. I mean, I don't really fucking try to shoot it or whatever, so I wouldn't know since I nerfed it, but what I'm saying is, like, in theory, that is what I like. That's my ideal thing. I like having multiple gameplay options. Like, factually, yes, it is slower and just worse to do that, to shoot off the leg and then shoot it with, like, a gun, but it's another playstyle, and it doesn't just make you feel like, oh shit, I brought a grenade launcher, I pretty much can't really do anything against this charger, or it's going to take me a significant amount of time to kill the charger. You know what I mean? Having the knowledge that you, and being rewarded for having that knowledge is what I really like, and I think that should probably come back and would be a great feature.
And this is mostly because you didn't want flamethrower being good against chargers, but who cares? Why not? Why should our support weapons suck? Is the question.
Also, yeah, like, I think the flamethrower not being able to like kill the charger like really quickly like it used to be is kind of a sin, I'm gonna be real. Because every other of those support weapons that I just mentioned, you can shoot from like 10, 20 fucking feet away, right? The flamethrower has a very small fucking range. You should be able to, like, the flamethrower should be absolutely fucking devastating for anything that is right in front of you. But oftentimes it feels like it's really just like not.
Question.
Like, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's just not like what it could be. And I 100% agree with what he's saying.
And it's funny how flamethrower is better against the automatons than it is versus
like,
the bugs.
Why can you shoot a tank like this with a flamethrower and it just absolutely get fucking, you know, turned into Swiss cheese, but you can't
Even though
shoot
it's probably
a
not
charger
intended whatsoever.
with a
Some folks may
the
point
exact
out
same
the
thing, if
old
not
clip
better.
shows a base charger and the new gameplay shows a charger behemoth. But fun fact, they're the exact same thing until June 13th, 2024. That's whenever they said...
A lot of people didn't realize this as well. The chargers were the exact same. The behemoth and the normal charger were the exact same thing, but they changed them so they could have fewer chargers and missions, but they were a little bit tankier.
Charger behemoths are now joining the battle in higher difficulties. It can now also take more damage than before. This enables us to spawn fewer chargers but still retain the difficulty. That is not how you make difficulty enjoyable. Instead, you had it all down right. You spawn a bunch of the enemies, but give us the tools to defend ourselves, and that's far more action-packed and fun versus making enemies bullet sponges.
So I'm indifferent on this. I think for the betterment of gameplay, what he said there is probably better, but like my opinion is like I don't really care. Like if I have like a slightly tankier enemy and I have to like use my brain more, like I was saying, like I have to shoot the leg off and then shoot it with like a primary or whatever, right? I'm indifferent on that. So my opinion is that it doesn't really matter here. my opinion doesn't mean jack shit. I think that whatever the overwhelming community wants for that situation, I'm gonna be happy either way. So whatever other people like more, I think is
Which is the
good.
same thing you've been doing. Insert meat bobs. I don't care anyone says, that enemy is horrendous. You made Gatling.
So I think this is another opinion that is kind of just like funny or whatever. The giant meat enemies, right? So I was watching this clip, right?
To defend ourselves,
And I was
that's
thinking to
far
myself,
more action-packed and
why on earth would you go anywhere near this charging enemy? Like, he's not even running like adjacent, or what's it called, like away from it. He's running right through here, and then gets hit, and then complains about it. Like, obviously it went through the fucking map or whatever, and that's bullshit, right? But like, the same thing could have happened or whatever, you know? If you're running here and it's like a flat structure, and the enemy just like runs at you, you're gonna get hit, bro. Walk backwards, and then whenever it's charging at you, dive to the left or to the right, and there you go.
fun versus making enemies bullet sponges, which
Also, they're really not that hard to kill, I'm gonna be real. Like, even with like a Liberator, you can take those things out pretty fucking easily. Not even, like, I've done it plenty of times on stream. A lot of people think that, like, they take so fucking much to kill, but you just have to aim properly at, like, all the little points.
is the same thing you've been doing. Insert meat bobs. I don't care anyone says, that enemy is horrendous. You made Gatling, laser, and airburst orbitals
It's a displays
worse.
argument.
Ever since the invasion of Super...
My thing is, that argument doesn't really, like, stand, though. Because either way, like, no matter what, why are you running towards a melee enemy? Like, why are you running in the same direction as an enemy? Like, excuse the enemy being, like, under the fucking ground or whatever. That's just bullshit, right? You know, that's dumb as fuck. That needs to be changed immediately. But you're still running in the same-ish direction as, you know, a melee enemy, and then complain that you get hit by a melee enemy. It's like, what? Like, what? Like, what are you on about?
Earth, they now originate at a strange angle from the Starship Destroyer, which is placed off the map. This gives them less value on kills in terms of
This is
the
another
enemies,
thing I think
and
should
a
be
lot more
looked
chance
into
of
as well.
killing your teammates
The orbital airburst and the orbital Gatling
instead.
are the two
Whereas
biggest like
before,
sufferers of this.
they just go pretty much perpendicular with the ground. Far more effective at killing chargers, and
Very valid though. The hit wasn't even physical contact.
it's the same more action you've been doing.
It was though.
Versus making enemies bullet sponges, which is the same more action-packed and fun versus making enemies...
The enemy ran right at him, right?
Bullet sponges.
And then it fucking hit him. Like,
which is the same thing you've been doing. Insert meat
sure, the enemy like went through the map or whatever, but like if that was like flat terrain, the same shit would have happened.
bobs. I don't care anyone says, that enemy is horrendous. You made Gatling, laser, and airburst orbitals worse. Ever since the invasion of Super Earth, they now originate at a strange angle from the Starship Destroyer, which is placed off the map.
The thing is, right, I don't even think that the grunt fantasy is actually really that bad. Like, you have plenty of tools in your arsenal as a singular player, right? A singular player, you can take out an entire bug breach with one stratagem. The napalm strike. Like, or the orbital napalm barrage, right? But you also have 3 other teammates. You have 3 other teammates. And don't tell me you're playing this game solo. This game was not designed to play solo. They've said it from the start. You can play solo if you want, but not meant to be played solo game. Like,
this gives them less value on kills in terms of the enemies, and a lot more...
I know this guy. I like this guy. I like Duo. I think he's very, very good and very smart, but to be honest, he's playing it solo. Well, he for these clips, he's playing it solo for, what's it called? For, like, demonstration purposes or whatever. But if you're playing level 10 missions solo, and then complaining that said level 10 missions solo are hard, you are A, putting yourself in that situation, and then B, complaining about a difficulty that you are putting upon yourself. It's like, damn, I just chopped my fucking leg off, and now it's hard to fucking run. Like, holy fuck, man. Like, this, can we nerf, like, legs, bro? Like, what the fuck?
Or chance of killing your teammates instead. Whereas before...
But this point he brings up with the orbital airburst and the Gatling, I think is very, very good.
They just go...
I can't really, like, I feel like I don't even need to use the Gatling anymore, because it feels just so bad to use.
Perpendicular with the ground. Far more effective at killing...
Solo is how you find issues, to be fair. But the thing is, why are you playing solo anyway? Like, you're putting issues upon yourself if you're playing solo, because it's not how the game is meant to be played. This time of year, the same guy saying the exact same thing. It's kind of sad. The thing is, Brass, around last year, he had a very good point. Last year was before the 60-day patch. And in my video that I was saying, whenever I was trying to actually record it for y'all, my footage got corrupted, unfortunately, so that's why I'm doing it live now. But I made the uh I made the like the this topic or discussion or whatever that like I am okay with games being like unreasonably hard, right? I play Elden Ring. I play Dark Souls. I've been playing fucking Hollow Knight Silk Song. I've been loving them. I love those games. They're great. But I'm not every player. And I totally understand if people want the game to be a little bit easier for the sake of fun and everyone having a good time. I am okay with that. Am I going to bitch and complain that the game is, hard and it should remain hard? No. If everyone thinks that the game is too hard and it needs to be easier, how does that negatively affect me? I'm going to be having even more fun anyway, you know? But I think to just like demonize players that are kind of like me like that, I think is a little bit of an issue because like I'm indifferent, bro. Like I just want to have fun, and if the game is hard, I'm gonna be having fun. But if the game's not hard, I'm still gonna be having fun. So who cares? Like, using solo to find issues, you're gonna find issues that only pop up in solo. Yep, this is another thing. Yep, it's like the game is meant for 4 players. It was designed around 4 players. It always has been. Since Helldivers 1, it has been designed around 4 players. If you want to induce more of a challenge on yourself, you can play solo, but it's still gonna be hard. And the level 10 is hard. Other people want it to be easier. It's not that people just want it to just flat out be easier. They want it to have some of the mechanics that come from the struggle of it being level 10 and it being quote unquote hard to make it easier or whatever, or more enjoyable. But the thing is, in game development, this is another thing that I don't think he really understands or realizes. Some things in games need to be purposefully annoying and hard and a bitch to make it actually, a good mechanic and like rewarding or whatever. For example, he was talking about War Striders and how they're fucking annoying and how they ragdoll you, right? Why should it be the first thing to think about that you as a single person can take it out by yourself easily? Which, by the way, you already can. One shot to its hips and it just fucking explodes, right? Throw a 500 kg, fucking explodes, etc. My thing is, my only comment is Hive Lords should be an objective, not a side quest. Half agree. Half agree. I think that there should be a mission to take out a Hive Lord, and that should be the mission. Kind of like how like an Eradicate is like on a mission. It would be really cool if you had like a medium-sized like arena outside. Excuse me. If you had like a medium-sized arena like outside, and your entire objective was to kill, I think that would be awesome, right? But if you have like do the oil thing, do the fucking bug nest, and then kill the Hive Lord, I think that's like, oh no, I would no. No. Transparency is being a regular person using tools, smart creative ways to achieve impressive goals. Yeah, but like, I don't think that it is like that bad. Like, you already have an insane amount of easy to use, easy to access weapons. Like, throwing in a napalm, everything in that direction just dies. You remove that direction. Like, if you call down like a HMG emplacement, right? You can mow down an entire field perfectly fine. I don't think that it is really just like that bad. I'm gonna be real. Just the ragdoll, which is a companion issue. Ragdoll being unfun, so byproduct of it. Yeah, so it's. I don't really think it's the War Strider itself. It's the cannons that they have or whatever. Because the grenades you can react to, but those really accurate turrets are very fucking annoying. The turret didn't ragdoll, but the nades did. People wouldn't be up in arms. Yeah, I agree. That's fine. Totally agree on that.
Chargers and every.
But I still think that even though they ragdoll or whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Because the way to play around them is you sit in cover, right? And then if they can't see you, they're gonna launch grenades at you. That's just how that's how their AI works. So as they're launching grenades at you, right? You poke out, aim your little fucking rocket, and then boom, shoot them in the hip. Sure, you might have a couple of grenades that fly towards you, but you can realistically throw like 3 or 4 away if you really need to throw them away. I personally just, think about my surrounding area and I'm like, okay, he's gonna launch grenades. I'm gonna look at this direction. Okay, that's my backup plan. All right, I'm gonna take him out. He's taken out. Now retreat to my backup plan. But not everyone thinks like me, so it's whatever. I don't really care.
The other kind of enemy that would be a bit tankier and you want to have more direct damage too.
If people think that enemy needs a nerf or whatever, that's fine. But like, one common theme I'm seeing with a lot of these topics about this thing needs to be changed, this thing needs to be changed, this thing needs to be changed, and here's my facts, and here's my footage or whatever, is that a lot of them could just be easily done by just kind of like not even like being the best player in the world, but just using a little bit of your brain power to get out of cover and then take advantage of your current situation with a tool that you have at your disposal.
Laser just tends to miss now, or at least it can if the angle's too severe. There's a growing number of instances where Arrowhead has an improper understanding of balance in their own game, leading to pretty scuffed decisions, such as the railgun and arc thrower. The arc thrower is slapping about times across the map. People made it very clear it's because of a bug with the game. The way the bug used to work, if you're in a group and you aren't the host, you'll deal more damage with the railgun and arc thrower to mostly Bile Titans, taking railgun down from being 7 shots max charge to 1 or 2 shots, which is crazy. That bug still works to this very day, just a bit less extreme. You go from taking 3 max charge shots to go Bile Titan to instead 2. It's funny how that works, ain't it? And the railgun got butchered for that, by the way. They said they didn't actually change the damage way back when. They did. I tested it, and it was definitely changed. But it seems as though the way they test things isn't consistent with how the game actually plays for most people. Railgun has recovered pretty heftily.
Now, my thing about it, right? A lot of people will use things like the railgun, the AMR, the arc thrower, and they expect these weapons to be like as powerful as backpack like ammo weapons as well. The reason why those weapons are not as strong is because you can wear a totally different backpack, right? For example, if I have a recoilless rifle, right, that has to have a backpack with the ammo, and I have to take a long time to reload it, right, that is the drawback that you take. A lot of things in Helldivers have gives and takes. For example, like I said, the recoilless rifle, the give that you have is you can one-shot most heavy enemies in the face. What's it called? Does a lot of damage, etc. But the drawback is that it takes a little while to reload, and you have to carry the ammo in your backpack. That's the drawback that you take for taking that powerful weapon. The drawback you take for taking a railgun is that it's a little bit less powerful, but you don't have to have anything on your back. So you can carry a shield backpack, you can take a guard dog, you can take, lots of these other, you could take the ammo for your friend, etc. A lot of people see these weapons and they just say like, oh, this weapon's dog shit because it doesn't do what this weapon does. But it's like, bro, you're not really thinking about the weapon as a whole. For example, this is what my whole medium armor penetration vid was talking about. Where the light pin weapons get absolutely railed and shit on. Because a lot of people just don't realize that it's not really that big of a fucking deal. But, sorry, I had a burp. But talking about my light pin weapons, so light pin weapons, the buff that you get from it is that you have more damage on average. You have slightly better recoil. Talking about the Liberator versus the Liberator pen. And then the Liberator pen, of course, has way less damage. But the trade-off is that you have more, what's it called? You have that medium armor pen. So it allows you to be a little bit lazier with your aim. Such. Or, if you do have good aim, if you beat that armor, you're still technically doing more damage than you would do with the Liberator. I don't know, Arc Thrower is kind of a meme. Arc Thrower is fantastic, man. People that complain about the Arc Thrower just don't know how to use it. Or, they suffer from the bug where the Arc Thrower, I'm sure you've tried to shoot it, where, like, you shoot it and then the Arc Thrower just barely goes out, like, at all, and it doesn't hit any enemy. That is annoying. That is a dog shit bug, and that should be fixed. But the actual arc thrower, whenever it like functions properly, is perfectly fine. It is a totally good weapon. Just increase the rate of fire for the charge. Fix it. Let you go on dead bodies. Rocks in the bushes. That's a bug, yeah. So whenever you you're aiming directly at like an enemy, and it's like an open field, and then you shoot it, and it just doesn't fucking hit the enemy like whatsoever. That's a bug. But the charge time I'm okay with. I personally never really have an issue with it. Because you gotta remember, it is a infinite ammo weapon that chains to enemies, and it doesn't require a backpack. I'm just saying, there's no other gun in the game or whatever that you could just constantly fire like that while having infinite ammo. You can kind of make an argument for the laser cannon, but that has like a cooldown because it has a heat mechanic, etc. So yeah. Infinite ammo range of 50 plus meters, around that. Yeah, I don't remember the exact range, but either way. What about the Blitzer? Well, the Blitzer is a primary weapon, so it's not a support weapon. It doesn't take up your support weapons, so that's why it's balanced like that. It has a much shorter range with less damage and such. That's why it's balanced like that.
But Arc Thrower still sucks, and it's gotten nerfed. It used to stun Hulks in a single shot. Now it
I don't
takes
think the
two.
Arc Thrower sucks,
The
though.
range is still pretty cheeks, as well as the fire rate, which was really fun.
This is another thing that I was talking about. Using the wrong weapon for the wrong job. The Arc Thrower is not meant to kill these enemies. If you remember back when they buffed the AMR and they made it to where it could like kill like you can hit like Battle Titans and such and do a little bit of damage, you're not supposed to kill enemies with those weapons. Or kill the big like heavy targets with the weapons. It's meant to be a last ditch resort if you have nothing else, just so you are able to do something. The Arc Thrower is meant to kill like medium to small enemies or whatever, but it can deal with those boys. Also, yeah, like Laffy said, just throw a thermite. Like, just, you have thermites right here, bruh. Just press the thermite button and it's dead. There you go. Since when is Michelle this smart? I mean, I consider myself pretty smart or whatever, but like, can you make the opinion that, you know, it feels bad at points? Yes, you totally can. But to say that it flat out sucks is just factually incorrect. The Arc Thrower does not suck. Does not suck at all. Playing the game incorrectly is why people think it sucks. So, for example, right?
Plays for most people. Railgun has recovered pretty heavily, but Arc Thrower still sucks, and it's gotten nerfed.
2,
it used to stun Hulks in a single shot. Now it takes
4,
2. The range
5,
is still pretty cheeks,
6,
as well as
7,
the fire rate,
8,
which was really fun for the
9.
gun.
And what could you have done in that time? Press this right here, a singular time, and you would have been fine. The Arc Thrower isn't meant to kill those enemies, like, super quickly. It's meant to be able to deal with them, yes, but it's not meant to absolutely just fucking, like, wipe the floor with them. And that's why I'm saying the order of operations of weapons or whatever is a totally real thing and totally thing like that you should consider when you're using your weapon. Like, realize what your weapon is, like, best at, but realize that it can also do other things. And that's why
it's not
I disagree with this
terrible.
point.
You can still use it. I've done it recently. But it could be so much more enjoyable if you simply reverted the changes that you made due to a bug you didn't properly understand. It hasn't happened in a year and a half, though.
And see, that point is good. That's how you should have these points or whatever. You should say, it's not bad, but it could be better. And that's a totally good statement to say. That is very, very good to say. You can have criticisms about something and still enjoy it, but wanting it to be a little bit improved and better. And that is absolutely flawless, good logic in my opinion.
And I don't think it will. That's not the focus. I don't get it. A lot of changes I'm complaining about are things that could be tweaked with basic number changes.
Also, that was another thing I meant to say earlier. A lot of these changes that he's saying are just number changes. They could very easily be done in a very short amount of time and don't commit a lot of dev resources. Obviously, I'm not a dev. I don't know what the fuck they're doing right now. I'm sure they have so much on their plate. But theoretically, right, it's a lot easier to do than totally redesigning like an enemy from the ground up and like changing assets and all that other stuff.
I'm not even harping on too many of the game-breaking glitches. I'm talking about the issues that y'all are directly responsible for.
My bad. I totally
Didn't
forgot
bring up the fact the game.
I totally forgot to open YouTube chat. I'm gonna be real, guys. I'm so sorry. Y'all were probably talking about so much bullshit and I just didn't see it. That open now. Hello, Grace. Hello, subject. How you doing? Hello, Despoil. You're probably not here anymore, but hello.
Game will hard lock your PC. Does it to me pretty consistently now. I start the game and it freezes it. I gotta turn the PC off, ending the stream in some cases. That's ridiculous. You're changing mission constellations and
also that like the game stability has also gone down like quite a bit. Like I run this game on a 5070 and even I struggle to get like above like 60 frames sometimes whenever I'm like multi-streaming and shit. It is incredibly bad.
Enemy seeds in ways that aren't particularly fair. Before, raise the flag and perch hatcheries almost always gave you a hunter seed, and those are great. You get more kills.
So I'm gonna say real quick, you could probably ignore everything I'm about to say about this mission type in particular. I hate the fucking the flag mission. I abhor the flag mission. I hate it so much. You will not find somebody else that hates the flag mission as more as me. I hate the flag mission so fucking much, dude. But what's it called? I do think a lot of things that he says about this are
higher number,
pretty good.
Fantastic time. Now those almost always give.
But I do have a caveat to it. Yeah. Anyway, let me replay it. Not yap over
You're
it.
changing mission constellations and enemy seeds in ways that aren't particularly fair. Before, raise the flag and perch hatcheries almost always gave you a hunter seed, and those are great. You get more kills, higher number, fantastic time. Now, those almost always give you either nursing spewers, bottle spewers, or alpha commander and hive guard spam. That I can only assume is because you want folks to fail the mission more often. Now I can't really get hunter seeds the way I used to on almost any mission type, even on the retrieve data mission or upload data via local delay. That also is giving me hive guard and alpha commander spam. Players found a way to escape these annoying enemies, and y'all said, come on guys, you're like a challenge, and instead change the seeds and are forcing them down our throats. On the gloom strain enemies, you see more alpha commanders and hive guards in some cases than the gloom enemies. Same thing goes for rupture strain. These seeds make it so light penetration weapons are essentially useless.
So going over this, disruptor, bro, holy shit. So Grease, that's a problem in of itself. Having just like use explosive versus bugs or whatever, it's not really a good like mentality to have. Like, I love the eruptor. I'll use that bitch every day. I fucking love it. I'm with you in that boat. But for the whole like of the game, I don't really think that should be like a good like solution, especially considering that you don't know what seed you're gonna get. So bringing the eruptor like every time can be kind of troublesome or whatever. I feel like this guy has a lot of problems that could be solved with another person. I think all of these clips are just him getting footage. I don't think he is actually just playing solo like 24/7. I think this is just footage. Lo-fi. Okay, I get the ridiculous horde of sometimes on like for 5 seconds and the flag goes down. Yeah, so I about the flag real quick, right? I hate the flags, right? I hate the flags so fucking much. I hate them so much, dude. But those flag missions, right? I have a stream. I don't remember what stream it was, but it's on my YouTube somewhere, where I was playing with my buddy Troy, right? And he was kind of just like not paying attention, dilly-dallying, as they say, and kind of just running around. And I was trying to do the mission, and I was kind of getting shit on or whatever. And the other people like weren't really like focusing or paying attention, right? And I was like, I talked in chat. I'm like, guys, like, look, let's fucking focus. Let's get on the point, and this shit will be piss easy, right? And they were like, I don't know, this mission's kind of AIDS. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, but just listen to me. Get on the point with me right then and there, and then just use your shit right then, and then we'll be good. And then lo and behold, it went exactly like I fucking said, and the mission or the flag was totally fine. Like, we spawned in, everyone died like a fuck ton, including myself, to like a million times, and we only had like 3 reinforcements left, right? And I literally told my fucking teammates, lock the fuck in, and we didn't die a single time more till the end of the mission, and then we extracted. But like, the thing is, you also have to remember that like because a lot of people bring up that the game is like 4-player, right? But you have to have a certain realistic like expectation of 4 players, because if you have 4 people, like they're not always going to be like super like coordinated. Like if you have 4 people that are super coordinated versus like 4 people that aren't really super coordinated and they're kind of just like playing, it's night and day. The game is totally different. But you have to balance it around those random players, because most people just kind of play with like random people and shit like that. So it's a bit of a like a yin and yang, like slippery slope or whatever, because the people that are super coordinated are like, oh, this game's too easy, oh, the fucking doesn't really matter. And then they drop like these seeds on us where we have tons of hive guards, and then the people that are like randoms or whatever kind of suffer for it. I personally don't really like mind all the hive guards. I just kind of like shoot the armpits and such like that and just play. I just get good or whatever, basically. But it can be a problem for most players. I understand that. Not everyone is gonna like understand exactly when and where you need to shoot and all that other stuff, right? Like the average Helldiver player is like not too good, if I'm gonna be real. Like, the Helldivers community is super sweet, super awesome, super nice, full of passion and funny shit. Like, but I'm gonna be real, a lot of Helldivers players just aren't very smart. Like, they're very good people though, so that's why I deal with it.
Even the folks you can kill with those guns aren't gonna be great, and that's partly because you give those guns 65% damage based on the way that durable damage works. It's almost hilarious how little information we get based on what we're fighting, even though the game has a tip saying mission difficulty is determined in part by the types of enemy units in the area. Make sure you bring the appropriate weaponry. But let me guess, it's a team-based game, bring different loadouts. For sure, we'll have Carl.
Yeah, for sure. Like, bring different loadouts or whatever. But like, that's the thing. You can't always expect randoms to bring like a subpar or like decent loadout to deal with these missions or whatever. That's just not how it works, you know.
Or bring a loadout that might suck entirely against the things we're facing because we have no idea what it's actually going to be. And if that
Yep,
happens,
that too.
it'll just waste 30 to 40 minutes in that mission. Sounds awesome! And when that's not the case, it takes more shots than it should to kill enemies based on other factors that just make the weak spots you have set in place not that great.
This part is pretty silly as well. Actually, let me catch back up on touch or in chat. Catch 22 such. I have no idea. Not everyone has 4 friends though. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Fight in the high ground near the flag. You don't have to fight anything. I mean, you still have to fight the enemies on the flag, Joe, to get them away or whatever. Because if there's enemies on the flag whenever it's raised, then it won't complete the mission, so you have to eventually kill them. I almost always play with randos, and tonight was pretty damn good. Even on soil flag missions. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of weird. I'm of the opinion that I like playing with good randoms more than, like, my good friends or whatever. Because, like, nothing feels more satisfying than queuing up with, like, 3 random teammates. And then you can physically see them doing good shit. And you're like, damn, that player is good. He knows what he's doing. And that's awesome. That's great. I like that. And then you're communicating with this dude, which usually you don't have actual comms or whatever, or like you're typing with, but you just kind of have this like neuron connection to each other or whatever. And like you could just tell that like, hey, I need to do this, or hey, I need to do that, or whatever. It feels so good when you have those moments and such. But obviously not everyone's gonna be like that. You're gonna get more like bad players than you do good players. Everyone asked for flag missions for higher difficulties, and now it's mega cringe at difficulty 10. So my thing with flag missions, right? I wanted a flag mission that you picked up the flag and then you took it to a point and then placed it. That's what I wanted. I thought that that was going to be cool as fuck. Like, imagine the flag stratagem. Imagine if you called that in, right? You picked it up and like your objective was to like fling it around in like a couple of different locations, right? And then plant it. Like that would be cool as fuck. Like, but the one where you just sit there and they spawn in, it's super, super annoying. I don't like it. But I entirely realize that that is just my opinion and that is a skill issue on my part, and I totally get that. That's fine. If I could, would I change shit? Absolutely. But do I think that it needs to be like a high priority? Absolutely not. Just a me issue at the end of the day. Your average driver is well-meaning but not very bright yet. Exactly, subject 19. 1000% agree. Prove time and again against players some don't read. In regards to what, Brass? You said it's been proven time and time again that some players just don't read. Like, in regards to like what are you talking about? At this point, more we don't know what we're fighting. Yeah, that's another thing. There's some times where you'll bring like a loadout and you just don't know if you're like fighting like that certain type of enemy or whatever. Which, like, to be fair, is okay. I'm like half okay with it. That's like some of the challenge of Helldivers is like trying to predict like what you're gonna bring. Because like if you bring like I don't know, like a recoilless and then like there's just like a million fucking spewers and you're expecting like maybe a million chargers or bile titans and you're just kind of like, oh shit. But that's why you kind of have like your build be flexible and such and have an option to take out like multiple things. But I do understand the frustration with that. A lot of people had such a issue with the squids when they came out. A lot of people didn't really know what to bring to really be helpful. Well, yeah, I mean that's just learning, and a lot of people don't like to learn. They just like to just dive in, get shit on, and then complain. A lot of people don't like to use their frontal lobe. Be cool if make the one true meme useful. I understand why the one true flag isn't really that good. I personally like it, being a meme, and I think that it's okay to have like meme weapons in the game. I think that's totally fine. What's it called? Decorating is meant to be useless, but still, yeah. Some people just don't read anything at all, like the mission details or the MO. Hang on, can't really stop that. Yeah, but like that's like half and half on like the game and like the game developer or whatever. Like most people just realistically are not going to read. That's just a given. So you have to give like, you know, context clues and like, you know, big symbols and like yellow paint and shit like that. That is just the reality that we live in today. Do I agree with it? No, I think people should just kind of read, but like, you know, It's just the reality that we live in. Flag missions stopped spawning at like diff 5 or 6, but I don't think it's built for having two factories try to spawn on the point. Yeah, I mean, it's really not that bad subject, like I was saying before. If you just sit there with your 3 teammates, but getting all 3 of your teammates while fucking, Billy Bob Joe runs off and collects like 300 samples while being, max samples already is a, funny thing. uh, People really want the one true flag to have some effect beyond being a meme. I mean, it would be fun if it had an effect beyond being a meme. It would certainly be an interesting thing and fun gameplay. But like, does it absolutely need it? No. Sometimes the effect of having no effect is a good effect in of itself, if that makes sense. Because then it's kind of like, yeah, I'm running in here with this useless fucking thing and I'm having fun with it. You know what I mean? That's fun. Who cares? Because at that point you really complain because you inflicted this modifiers on yourself. Yep. A lot of people like do bad things, and like they'll go into, like, for example, like a solo mission, right, at like the highest difficulty, and then complain when they are getting like focused and shit like that. It's like, right, like you're like I said, you're chopping your leg off and then trying to run, and it's like, damn, I can't run anymore. Like, also, no one seems to remember that enemies can detect you through sound. If you're blasting your guns and running and not clear, they can hear you. That's another thing. No one really does stealth anymore. I've noticed a lot of people don't do stealth. I don't know the consequences of my own action. Rex, that is something that I brought up later in this video, that a lot of people will not take accountability for their actions. And there was one part when he was talking about taking accountability, and I'm like, yes, he understands, he gets it, he gets it, he gets it. But he was talking about the devs, and I'm like, bro, like, come on, we're not like 100% serious on this, right? Like, obviously, shit like the bleeding thing, 100% agree on. A lot of other stuff that he's talked about, I agree on, right? Flag missions, I agree on, right? Some of the light pin situations with hive guards can be kind of annoying, I get. But like, some issues, I'm just kind of like, come on, man, like, we're kind of just grasping at straws now. Like, anyway, time to continue.
In that mission. Sounds awesome! And when that's not the case, it takes more shots than it should to kill enemies based on other factors that just make the weak spots you have set in place not that great. For these Scout Strider legs, they take so much damage to be destroyed, even though they're now light pin, it's not really worth doing. You made aiming worse for SM.
I kinda agree on this, but like, that enemy is meant to like have like certain points that are like a priority list. For example, you shoot the rockets with any weapon and they instantly die. They've only made it to where you can shoot the legs because people were too stupid to shoot the rockets, and they wanted them to have a choice to be able to kill them. It's not supposed to be the choice to be able to kill them. It's just a choice. Like, for example, if you had a Devastator, right? You want to try to shoot it in the head. You're not going to just shoot it in the fucking chest and the body, right? You know what I mean?
SMGs inside.
Why shoot the legs when you can shoot the rockets? Just get better. You see, that's a problem, Grease, when you say like just get better. I mean, I'm not saying like it's factually a problem, but like a lot of people will say like that exact same thing, myself included, but then people like him will take it out of context or whatever, and then say like, oh, all these people are glazers and they're just saying just get good and shit like that. But it's like, there's a difference between being a glazer and just saying like the game has no problems and it's 100% perfect and being oblivious. But then actually telling you like, hey, you could do this thing right here and actually make this situation for yourself a lot easier, and you don't have to deal with this like obnoxious mechanic or whatever, and you can just get it done. But I think the people shooting the legs bad habit from finding normal striders. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But like, I think what he was talking about mainly was just good weak point. Yeah, good weak point, bad break point, or whatever. There's this like, it's
light
just
pin.
Weird. It's a weird thing to have right there or whatever. Obviously, Doe is very smart. He's a really smart individual. He knows to fucking shoot the rockets. He's not a dumbass, right? But like, I think he's just pointing out here that like it says right here, it's a good weak point, bad break point or whatever.
It's not really worth doing. You made aiming worse for SMGs and sidearms after increasing sway for said weapons, and then added a effect where if you sprint for a second or two and go to shoot a...
But he said that like it's not really like worth doing. The thing is, people don't really like understand that you can shoot the rockets, and they just see like the big body, and if they see number or if they see damage hit, then they're like, oh, okay, I hit damage. Yippee. So it's more for those like casual like bad players that don't really like understand the game and stuff. And they piss to the ground and they fall over. I don't really use the grenade pistol on them, really. I just kind of just shoot their rockets with, like, a light pin weapon, and actually hitting the floor makes the whole cluster of them over and die instantly. That too, yeah. I kind of interpreted the like point as more of a Y change, because you can hit the rocket right in the hip. Plus, yeah, it was more for the, like, people that, if they run out of rockets, right? Like, if they don't have rockets or whatever, you can't shoot the rockets anymore, so obviously. But for the players that don't really, like, understand, they want them to be able to at least do, like, some bit of damage. Such, like, for example, with medium pin versus, like, a hive guard, right? Medium pin with hive guard, you're supposed to shoot them in the armpit to break through that armor and do the most damage you possibly can. But a lot of people still shoot them in the face, which is why I did it in my medium pin video. And a lot of people gave me flack for it. And I'm like, bro, I know how defeating armor works. I'm showing you a realistic example of people that use these weapons, bro. Like, if you're gonna tell me that fucking Sally Sue over here picks up the Liberator Penetrator, right? And it always aims at, like, the armpit of, like, the dude to break through the armor and defeat the armor. You're telling me they do that every single time? But no, bro. Like, these people don't even know how to fucking, like, properly use, like, any other weapon in the game. Like, I don't know.
Sidearm, there's an egregious amount of sway that takes a whole second to actually adjust
Also,
where you're
this sway with the pistol, I 100% agree with what he's saying here. This shit is so awful.
properly
Like,
aiming, making the weapons just far
look at
less
that, bro.
enjoyable to use. To
He's
this
standing
day, it
perfectly
still makes
still.
more sense to revert the sway nerf on sidearms and SMGs and instead buff the sway for assault rifles. Make them a bit more accurate if that's the goal, is to make them be a bit different. That way, folks actually have a better feeling playing the game versus just making it worse to use weapons for no gain.
So this, I also agree. This sway murdered my stim pistol. Yep. That's a lot of people don't really use it anymore. And I'm pretty sure he actually brings it up here in a little bit. Talking about it. I forget where. But changes like this that make weapons feel better, but they're not, like, functionally better, I think is perfectly okay, because you're making things, like, feel good without impacting the gameplay. That makes sense. Or, like, impacting, like, damage numbers and, like, statistics and such like that.
Aside from arbitrary difficulty, there's an unhealthy focus on making players less accurate through spread, ergonomics, sway, the whole 9 yards, to the point that Warbond's release with weapons that have such terrible ergonomics, players won't even use them. Variable, for instance. Before that, you had amendment that had to get ergonomics buffed by dang near double so folks would actually enjoy the gun. Why would you release weapons that have those
This
double
shit right here was fucking wild, bro.
so folks would actually enjoy the gun? Why would you release weapons that have those issues in such a severe state? Then we had Reprimand with 50 bloom, I think, 50 spread.
Yeah.
Then you launch Stim
wild.
Pistol that has 30 spread and wonder why players
30 spread on stim pistol, bro. Wild, bro. Like, what the fuck? Insanity. Casual doesn't mean bad for any player who doesn't look up weak points or don't have to let players share knowledge. It means that same kind of indication with medium armor, the high guards obvious indicator. Good game design, there's less of an indication of the rockets than the cruise meaning for players that don't understand to shoot the rockets. Yeah, so what's it called? I think the proper, like, thing is, for example, like on hive guards, I think it's okay that players are, like, shooting, like, just, they're like, oh, I'm doing damage, okay, I'm just gonna keep shooting, and okay, I'm doing damage, I think I'm doing the right thing, right? They realistically aren't, or whatever. Again, talking about medium pen, Liberator Penetrator versus a hive guard shooting, like, in the forehead. They're not doing the right thing, technically. But they feel like they're doing the right thing, and they feel like they're doing something good. And that's okay. Now, here's where the cool thing comes in, where you can learn skill expression, and you can research about the game, and improve, and be better, and then realize, hey, actually, I could change my gameplay up a little bit, and shoot this part. And then now I'm suddenly doing a bit better. And it's like, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that, and now I'm smarter, and now I'm better because of that. And some people don't like that, and they just want to be able to kill shit in a timely manner without putting in the effort. And I don't think, personally, that is a good direction, because Helldivers is, like, the perfect mix of, like, insane, stupid, silly shit, and then also, like, tack shooter skill expression, in my opinion. But, I don't know. I'm kind of at the point to where if people don't want that anymore, I'm okay with that change being made. but I'm indifferent. Like, I'm doing fine, I'm doing good, I'm having fun. But if people are just overwhelmingly dog shit and can't fucking, use one brain cell and hit the right place, then if that needs to be changed, then so be it. But either way, I'm gonna be fun. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be happy. I like the game no matter what anyway, so
Don't use it.
even before like the 60-day patch, I was still enjoying the game. Sure, it was kind of like disparage or whatever to actually play sometimes, but like I still had fun. I liked it being like unreasonably difficult and stupid or whatever. But that's just me. Uh, it's a good point. If you see someone not doing the right thing and no one corrects them or gives advice, people can learn. But if no one talks to them, of course they're gonna get any better. Also, there's also some people that just don't care and just want to unga bunga. Yeah, that's the exact thing, Grace. So, for example, some people just want to unga bunga, and that's perfectly fine. I said that in my light pen video. I said if people want to unga bunga, that's perfectly okay. You do you, boo. That is fucking fine. Uh, but I dislike it, and this is the thing I hate about the Helldivers community mainly. They take something, they don't understand it, and they immediately fucking hate on it and throw it away. This actually happens with a lot of things just in human history, but that's an entirely different subject for a different day. But yeah, um, I like the players that are like, yeah, I know I could be aiming a little bit better, but I'm just bored and I don't really want to aim properly or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, totally fine. You do that. You have fun. I'm not gonna say anything to you. You're on my goat. Keep playing. Ungamungas, literally psycho divers, bro. Sometimes I run in there with like the sterilizer and like gas, and then just gas my fucking feet and everyone around me. Like, trust me, I know all about ungamunking. Like, wish we had a bestiary and the destroyer. That's something that I saw subject. It said I wish we had a bestiary on the destroyer. Like we did in Helldivers 1, some useful tips to handle enemies. That would be insane. They could take like it would be kind of annoying because like they have to like design a whole UI for it and everything like that. But you know, a 5,600 for the sterilizer to be buffed. Yeah, I think the sterilizer could be buffed, but I still think it's usable. Like, do I want it to be buffed? Yes. I have my idea about the sterilizer. I don't know if you saw my gas video, but you know the water hose, how it has like a water hose like attachment, how it has like the different settings for the water and how they can be sprayed out. That's what I want for the what's it called? That's what I really really want for the sterilizer, and I think that would be so fucking cool. But yeah. Like imagine if you had like a mode on the sterilizer where you could like you'd like change like the nozzle, right? And it changes the instead of it being gas, it's like a sticky like a oh my god. You know the rupture strain bowel spewers? Where they like launch the little like mortars out or whatever? Imagine if it was that and then cover the area in gas. That'd be cool. It'd be like a very like it'd be kind of like a similar in size to like a spear gun, like a gas cloud, maybe a little bit bigger. But obviously the spear gun does way more damage or whatever. So the spear gun would be better for doing damage and applying gas, but that one would be better for just doing gas. You know? That'd be awesome. Yeah, I agree.
It. Then you fix the spread and add sway to said pistol, making it so folks still miss shots that they shouldn't be missing. The devs literally said, players want the stim pistol, we give it to them, and they don't use it. Because you've made it horrible to use. Not to mention, we die so fast, you can't stim people.
Okay, hear me out, right? So this part is really funny. I'm going to talk about it here in just a second. I think the stim pistol should have a little bit bigger of a hitbox for your teammates. Assuming that you keep it, like, what's it called? Like, where it doesn't heal as fast as, like, a normal stim. So imagine, like, you know, you're aiming, like, let's say, like, this guy, for example, right? I would want the hitbox to be, like around, like, there. Like, so, like, you still have to aim and hit him, right? So you still have to account for, you know, travel speed and all that shit, and it's still, like, skill expressive. But it's not completely anus to use, bro. Like, it's so bad. I want to use it so much, but it just feels so bad to use. Auto aim with the judge. I don't think it should have auto aim, because then that would be, like, a really, really, really good. But I do think it should be significantly easier to hit people. Because think about it, you're giving up your grenade pistol. You're giving up the ultimatum. You're giving up the senator, the talon, the verdict. You're giving up all these fantastic secondary weapons for the ability to be able to stim your teammates. And I think that's a worthy trade-off or whatever, to be able to, like, realistically hit your teammates, like, majority of the time. Like, do I think you shouldn't be able to hit them, or like hit them from like, let's say like they're like over here, like on the fucking other side of the map? No. I think that should be like an insanely hard shot to hit. But you know.
Properly. The stim
Also,
does less healing than a regular stim, and you can still get 2-shot through a stim and die instantly. 400 is less healing, die so fast.
so right
you
here,
can't
for example.
stim people properly. Not to mention, we die so fast.
So this dude, right?
You can't.
He's reloading. The shot came out, right? He's still sitting here,
Stim people
reloading.
properly.
He missed another shot, and then gets hit by a third shot, and then people will complain about them. Like, bro, I'm sorry. Fool me once,
Players
shame
want
on
the
you.
stim pistol,
Fool me twice,
give it to
shame on
them,
me.
and
Fool
they
me
don't
3
use it.
times. You're gonna get
Because
fucking
you've
killed.
made it
Like, I'm sorry,
horrible
dude.
to use. Not to mention, we die so fast, you
Look,
can't
1,
stim people
2,
properly.
3. It's like, bro, like, what? Dude, look, man, like, at some point, like, I'm not glazing the game, right? I'm not saying that the game is, like, perfectly balanced, but, like, bro, sometimes people need to take accountability for their actions, right? Like, you can't just say, like, oh, incinerator core, grr, that's bad, grr. Like, bro, he missed 2 shots, and you still stayed still, and then died to the third one, bro. Like, what?
The sim does less healing than a
Obviously, like, this person in particular is not complaining about it or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, other people do complain about it whenever that exact same thing does happen.
regular stim, and you can still get 2-shot through a stim and die instantly. 442,000 folks fighting bugs. I'm thinking like maybe.
Okay, but you can't argue that sometimes you get insta-gibbed, you know, when you were zipping and zooming. Yeah, I mean, obviously I get insta-killed, you know? Sometimes I don't pay attention, I run over a mine like a dumbass. Sometimes I'm not paying attention, and one of those, like, turrets or whatever that sit on top of the towers fucking shoot me. Perfectly understandable, I get it. But, like, the game is meant for you to die sometimes, right? You're not supposed to just run around and be, like, fucking invulnerable, you know? So, like, I'm just saying, if you die again, or, like, if you die to, like, a bunker, like, turret bunker, right? If you spawn in again, and unless, like, an extreme unlikely scenario happens where, like, your teammate throws you, like, in the middle of a field with no rocks or cover, and, like, right in front of the bunker again, like a dumbass, right? That's the only reason you should really be dying again. Dev shotties were a bit overtuned on launch, I think. They were super annoying. I'm okay with the shotgun bros being chunked from like 20 meters away, but one pellet is really annoying. I also agree, subject. I really hate that shit as well. But again, this is the Michelle philosophy of, like, I don't care if they want to have it like that. I will say it's annoying, and if y'all want to change it, that's totally fine. But I'm gonna personally adapt, and I'm just gonna be better than it, and, like, dealing with it or whatever. That is my mentality. Do I think that that is a mentality everyone should have? No, because I think that it should be more fun than frustrating. Like, sure, getting hit by, like, you know, one, like, right behind you, you're like, oh, it's kind of annoying or whatever. Or, like, you round the corner on, like, a city map and there's, like, a shotgun devastator and he just shoots you and you're like, ah, shit, okay, well, fuck. My bad, I guess. Skill issue, lol. But if it happens, like, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, then what's really the problem there? You've identified the problem and you're not dealing with the problem accordingly. So is that really the game's fault, or is that the player's fault? That's what I think a lot of helldivers should start doing. They should look in the mirror and realize that they're not the best person in the world and should start kind of, like, adjusting for such or whatever. Also, hello, thank you for the raid, Gwen. We're just going over some helldiver stuff and debating some stuff about it. Let me fucking cut out real quick. Oh. How's your stream, Gwen? Your so philosophy is a bad balance is totally fine. I'll just get good. For me personally, like, that's okay. I don't think that that is a good, like, actual thing for a game, though. And also, I don't even think it is bad at balancing. Like, they have a shotgun. You have a rifle most of the time. Just shoot them from range, gang. Like, I'm a be real. Then help us finish puzzle. Nice, nice. But yeah, Chuckles, like, I don't know, gang. Like, if you look at this clip right here, right?
400 does less, and we die so fast.
Look at this clip right here.
Don't use it because you've made it horrible to use. Not to mention,
is this bad balancing, or is this the player that is playing badly and they should improve?
We die
Tell me right
so
now.
fast, you can't stim people properly. The stim does less.
Is that the shield incineration core devastator being OP and needing to be nerfed and tuned down? Or is that the player being oblivious and not very smart and making a mistake? And they should be punished for said mistake. Remember as well, difficulty 10. Highest difficulty. Also playing with 3 players that could also shoot the enemy as well.
We die so fast, you can't stim people properly. The stim does less healing than a regular.
Because like in this clip right here, he's using
stim.
I think that's just like the normal diligence, right?
You can't.
So like instead of trying to heal him, he could just be like boom and then shoot him in the head, right?
Stim people
And save
properly.
This is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like I don't really think that that's like, you know, a fair argument to say, Chuckles. This sounds so rise right now. I don't understand any of this. I'm basically just going over like the community of helldivers. They irrationally like demonize a lot of things and such. And just in general, but if you're truly stance, why wouldn't anyone listen to you? But if that's truly your stance, why should someone listen to you? That philosophy literally does nothing constructive for anyone, neither does for players, you know. Disagree. Because what's it called? Some games are totally designed around you being the little guy and you getting shit on, like Dark Souls, like Elden Ring, like fucking Silk Song as well. But the thing is, Helldivers isn't meant to be that fully. You're meant to kind of be vulnerable, but not like super vulnerable, you know what I mean? Odo is a competitive solo player in Helldiver. But the thing is, if you're playing solo play, you're putting these restrictions on yourself. The game is not meant and designed for solo play. It is just a thing that you can do. I'm gonna demonize the Drake spawn rates. Those are awful. I agree with you, Beep. Unbalanced versus get good always works. So there's a fine line log between get good and hey, you know, reasonably try to improve. And if you reasonably improving isn't actually good enough, then the game is just, you know, needing to be like adjusted or whatever, you know. Playing EDF on the highest difficulty for so long, I'm okay with personally dying in like 5 frames to a singular attack, but obviously Helldivers, you should probably work on balance to have enemies be understandable. I think for the most part, most enemies are pretty understandable. There's only a handful of enemies that I think like majority of players are like not really understanding. And the Rupture Strain is like a big like contender for that. But they're being reworked right now, I believe, and being taken off. My problem with War Striders is less obvious weak spot and needing an anti-tank to guarantee deal with them. So I agree with you that it is less obvious. That their weak point is less obvious. It is like their little hip or whatever. It's not very like, hey, shoot me type thing or whatever. I agree with you on that. Do I think something could be changed, like on their model to make it look more, you know, fair or whatever? Sure. But it is kind of annoying. I do agree. But once you actually get that knowledge and you learn about it, it kind of sticks with you and you're fine from then on. But I do think you are right. Yes, they could be made more obvious. Dark Souls is so much more fair than people give it credit for. I'm really tired of shoehorning into unfairly difficult box when it isn't. Elden Ring is that though? Disagree. There's a lot of things in the Dark Souls games that are factually, like fundamentally, certain areas of the game are meant to be insanely difficult and hard for the reason of being insanely difficult and hard. You're telling me Blight Town is meant to be like a balanced, good experience? Like, no. That place is meant to be cancer. But it's designed like that, and it's a very good area because of it. Now, do I think that some things in Helldivers kind of skirt that line? Yes, but again, Chuckles, look at this clip right here, dude. Like,
The sim does mention
there
we
are
die
so many things that are wrong
to
here.
them and they don't use it because you've made it horrible to use. Not to mention,
for example, right? So this dude's taking care of these guys, right? That's
we
fine,
die so
right?
fast.
This dude right
You
here,
can't stim.
what the fuck is he doing?
Because
like,
you've made it horrible to use. Not to mention, we die
he picks
so
up his
fast,
gun, right?
You can't.
Doesn't even pay attention to this dude, so he's oblivious. That's a mistake that he made, right? And then this dude, A1.
Because you've made it horrible to use. Not to mention, we die so fast.
He starts reloading, right?
You can't.
One shot goes over his head completely through his field of view. He can easily see that, right? There's no fucking doubt in my mind that he cannot see this, right?
Stim
and then another shot hits directly next to him.
properly.
And he's still reloading. He's still sitting there. And then a third shot kills him. And what does Doe do? Doe just walks around, stares at him, and then tries to stim him. Like, bro, you could have just whipped out your rifle and shot him in the head. So, like, is that the game's fault? Is that bad balancing? Is that bad design? Or is that the player's fault? And that's the thing I keep trying to argue, is that players will not take accountability for their actions. They will not realize that they need to improve and they need to be better and they need to actually, like, listen to, like, other people that know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, people have this, like, such, like, amazing god complex that they think that they're, like, the best player in the world and shit like that. Stuttering made the game less enjoyable when aiming. Like performance issues? Yeah, I mean, that's a totally separate thing, though. Like, stuttering, or game performance issues is just so shit in general. At least they made the belly have med pen other striders if someone can't bring... Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing and such, making the belly, like, medium pin and such. Giving you, like, another area to hit so you don't have to hit, like, that tiny little hit. I'm assuming you mean, like, devastators and such, but yeah. Bringing up shotgun does that makes 0 sense. So much damage from 1 point pellet. Yeah, the pellet issue is also really bad. The damage per pellet is pretty annoying. I think personally, if I were to redesign this enemy, the pellet would I think it should set you on fire quite a bit, but you know, I don't think it should like do as much damage as it does. At this point, still stands despite the poor video example. What you said doesn't address his wider criticism. All right, let's go back over it.
Players want the stim pistol, we give it to them, and they don't use it because you've made it horrible to use. Not to mention, we die so fast you can't stim people properly. The stim does less healing than a regular stim, and you can still get 2-shot through a stim and die instantly. 400.
Okay, so my argument here is that if you are in most of the time when you die in Helldivers 2, you die of 2 reasons. A, you are out of position, you are in a bad spot, and you pay the price for it by not having cover. Or B, design balance of the weapon. Well, I mean, yeah, we already went over that or whatever, talking about the stim pistol or whatever. I believe it needs to have a slightly bigger hitbox for your teammates and such. Hello, Chabike. But yeah. Some people just love to use light armor as well. You're not going to survive attacks like that unless you pre-stim or to get cover. But that's also part of the skill expression, Grace, or whatever. Like, playing the game for long enough, knowing what's about to come at you, and then stimming beforehand. I do that plenty of times, and I live. I actually have a video somewhere, I could probably find it, where I'm, like, unironically, versus, like, bots, like War Striders and, like, Devastators and such, like, all pouring ammo down on me, right? And I come out of it on top because I play my cover properly. I hit the weak point with my light pin weapon, and I'm wearing light armor. And I say in that video, I'm like, look, I'm using light pin, I have light armor, and I just survived that with, like, barely any struggle at all. Like, are we really saying this isn't a skill issue here? Like, come on, like... But at the same time, I understand. Like, it's okay. People don't have to be the best players. They don't have to know everything about the game. And that's okay. But where do we draw the line? And that's where my question lies. Where do we draw the line between skill issue and needing to learn the game or whatever, or like needing to learn the game / skill issue, and should be just easier and toned down? Yeah. Death reason someone threw a stratagem in your direction without saying anything. That was the other one I was gonna say, Joe. It's like usually you get like shit on by somebody else doing some bullshit or whatever.
142,000 folks fighting bugs. I'm thinking like maybe 20,000 folks fighting bugs. Every single bug can bugs. Folks fighting bugs.
Okay. So, problem with this video. Why is he fucking running over here trying to get his shit when he already has fucking...
I'm thinking...
like all of his... or he's probably not trying to get his shit, but he already has like a full kit, right? So he doesn't need to go get his shit back, right?
Bugs.
Why are you running towards the bugs, bro? Like, run this direction over here. Like, it's just a bad example or whatever, you know? Like, oh, damn. Yeah, man, I got hit by fucking, like, 40 fucking hunters because I walked near them. Oh, shit, who would have thought?
I'm thinking, like, maybe 20,000.
Granted, that was near the start of the game, obviously. So, you know, I'm not really gonna fucking bat it for that or whatever.
1,000 folks fighting bugs.
Another thing here, right? He has his railgun out. when I'm pretty sure he has a breaker on his fucking hip.
Every single bug fighting bugs.
Is that a breaker on his hip? I can't really tell because video quality.
Thinking like maybe 20,000 folks fighting bugs.
Is that a breaker? I can't really tell. Yeah.
Every single bug can break a limb in a single.
The plate was a reduction to our survivability. Again, man, like we have so many ways to defensively play. We have the what's it called? We have the the giant like shield backpack, right? We have the giant dome shield you can deploy. We have the like ballistic shield you can use. We have fucking like just taking cover in general, and then throwing like stratagems and such out of it. Like the point in the reduction of our survivability, just it falls so flat on its face or whatever, you know? Like the things that are actually annoying are taking a lot of extra like bullshit status effect damage, like your legs being shit on, or like your chest being hemorrhaged and shit like that. That's the problem or whatever, because they made it to where limbs can break easier now, you know?
Hit. Pouncers, Wilburs, Hunters, Warriors out.
Yeah, a sentry, a fire grenade, a gas grenade. So this is what I'm talking about, Chuckles. Like, this is what Grease was saying in my chat. Where do you draw the line between you having a skill issue and it being acceptable, and you just need to learn how to play the game or whatever, right? Again, I'm not trying to like be mean towards you or whatever. I'm just saying, like, in like a hypothetical, like let's say you're like a new player, right? And you're complaining about the game, because I'm not trying to like flame you or talk shit about you, gang. That's not my personality. But like let's like where do we draw the line of like, hey, this player just obviously did a bad mistake and they just need to learn and improve, and on the opposite side of the spectrum, hey, this thing is currently like really bad and needs to be looked into. They do too much damage. You know what I mean? Like, for example, old bunker turrets or whatever. I personally think incineration core could probably go down in damage. I can deal with it personally, but like just because I can deal with it doesn't mean everyone else is having a good time. That was my philosophy, saying that, like, you know, I am okay with dealing with bullshit, but that doesn't mean it's entirely a good thing to have in the game. So.
Alpha commanders. Once you're wearing the heaviest armor, 200 armor rating, and wearing vitality booster as well, that's when you start getting not two-shot by stuff as consistently. And sometimes an alpha commander can only three-shot you, if it headshot you. It's perplexing to focus on making certain guns aim worse when the AMR and DCS are still currently bugged. I use air quotes because I'm not sure if it's actually a bug or if it's just y'all's new intention for the guns. Either way, they don't feel good to use, and they haven't for a few.
Just in your gas video, sometimes people purposely gather footage to display the situation people are putting themselves in. Kinda. Because what I was doing for my gas video is I had a situation where so the way I did my gas video is I had panel 1, which was clearly me getting footage with my HUD off, with, you know, displaying, and then I had a follow-up clip for it that was actual live gameplay of me just playing the game without like trying to do anything or whatever. It wasn't to show a point, that was like real raw gameplay.
A few months now. That should probably get handled. And if they were fixed, they wouldn't be godlike. They would just be more enjoyable to use. And that's an important factor in this game. It's not a matter
also,
of...
I completely agree with the AMR being a little bit, showing some TLC, some tender love and care.
Of making things amazing. It's more so having a good baseline, and that baseline should focus on enjoyment and being decent against enemies. I won't say viable. Viable's a...
Also, back to your thing subject. I think stim pistol is fantastic for using between objectives, but terrible mid-combat, which is fine because you're saving your team stims from chip damage. I think, personally, it's okay for the stim pistol to be a little bit better. Like, again, I made the point that you're giving up your grenade pistol slot, you know? You're giving up your ultimatum, you're giving up your verdict, your talon, your senator. I think the trade-off for that, where you can only heal your teammates, and again, you can only heal them if they're near you, and, you know, all that shit, is perfectly fine. That's perfectly good trade-off, and I think it should be totally reasonable to be able to use, like, mid-combat.
Dumb word that folks use in the worst way possible, so I'm not going to use that.
I felt mid for ages,
and
though.
I think one of the issues the game
agreed.
suffers from is using the most scuffed baselines for many different guns. Assault rifles. Liberator is y'all's baseline. That would make sense if you're using the Sief Trooper Liberator. There's his medium pin. They be gunning down stingrays.
Yeah.
How is that
this
fair?
Shit's funny as
How come
fuck,
those guys get the good stuff?
Look at this shit.
Instead, we get the light pin, I guess 45 round Liberator that does next to no damage for an assault rifle and has no other unique qualities. 45 round.
So one point that he talks about here where he talks about the Liberator doing next to no damage. The Liberator does plenty fine damage. You just have to aim properly. And that's the problem that a lot of people have with the Liberator. But the thing that I really want to say that he is correct on 100% is the baseline for weapons. That is the most important thing he mentions here regarding this specific topic. Is the baseline of weapons is all over the place. You have certain weapons, like explosive weapons, that, like, the baseline for an explosive weapon is like the Eruptor, the crossbow, the grenade launcher, you know? Those are fantastic. That's the baseline. But the baseline for the fucking assault rifles is the Liberator. You know what I mean? You bring the Liberator versus, like, I don't know, like a cookout or some shit, right? The cookout's gonna fucking win every single time. No competition. But yeah, do I think the assault rifle category could get like some loves or whatever? Absolutely. But I don't think they're absolutely like dog shit, like useless or whatever, or bad. They're definitely not bad. Just, you have to put a little bit more effort into using it.
Liberator that does next to no damage for an assault rifle and has no other unique qualities. So the moment the Coyote comes out that does fire damage on the bullets, it's now overpowered. In relation to assault rifles, maybe. In relation to other guns and the entirety of the game, it's not the best gun by a decent bit. It's just actually useful for an AR as opposed to all the slop we've had before. Whoa there.
I just don't see how you're saying it's a good response to the overall sentiment of his videos. Sure, there are skill issues. Again, if you watched like the whole video, I completely agreed on like a lot of bullshit that he was talking about. I said that like the what's it called? The Battle Titan, Flying Battle Titan, the Dragon Roach was a little bit annoying and should be toned down. I also agreed that the not having a good visible weak spot for the Horse Rider is pretty good as well, or that needs to be like addressed as well. Rather, the Rupture Warriors, I also agreed with them. I said that those were pretty obnoxious and needed to be changed, and they are being changed right now. But some things, like for example, the clips that I was pointing out before to you, like those are just genuine skill issues, and that's why I keep trying to tell you, like, where do we draw the line between skill issue and just mindless complaining when you could just improve a little bit or whatever. That's like my whole like argument against this video. Like, I've agreed with more shit than he said than not, though. Is what I'm saying.
Hey, buddy, it's a skill issue. You're bad at the game, hard to accept. I understand. What's that? The QA lead said what? The Coyote is fine, and we need to look at other ARs.
Yeah.
Obviously.
See, exactly. But the thing is, right, you can say it is a skill issue, but then also say, like, yeah, the weapon needs to be buffed. Because obviously it is a skill issue, you know? If you are using in my light pin video, right, I showed that you can shoot a Devastator in the head 2 times and then kill it instantly with a light pin Liberator. If, you know, you're not able to do that, then that is a skill issue. Just factually, that is a skill issue. Do I think that that should be, like, how it should always be? No. I think that all the ARs should be kind of buffed up as well. So you can say, like, yes, it is a skill issue, it is your fault, you are playing badly, but also, we should increase it to make it to where it's not bad like that, and you should have more fun and overall make the game more enjoyable for the average player. Which is my whole sentiment as well.
Saying my whole life the ARs kind of suck in Helldivers 2, guys. I've never not said those guns need to be fixed. And that goes for more than just assault rifles. SMGs are the exact same way. The second we had a potential candidate for a great SMG, you made it two-handed. Why couldn't it just be one-handed and be a 125 damage SMG to make ballistic shield and directional shield a bit more useful? Whereas instead, I just bring a sidearm for that now. Why would I ever want to...
I also agree with this. Because if you're bringing a shield to, and then also bringing a, like, SMG to deal with these types of things or whatever, like, I understand the trade-off, but at the same time, like, just aim better, lol. Excuse me. But I also agree that, like, what's it called? Because he's talking about glaze divers or whatever, and how they say, like, there's nothing wrong with it. But my opinion is that, sure, it is a get good scenario, but, and a big but, it also doesn't have to be. It can be a, like, more healthy, fun, and enjoyable experience. It doesn't, because you could still make, like, for example, this situation right here. If he had the reprimand, he would still be fighting, like, fucking 4 Devastators, 5 or 6 Devastators, right? Like, that would still be a challenge. Like, he would still be doing a challenge, right? But you're also having more fun because you're using a cool weapon or whatever, you know?
Use an SMG
I think that's fine.
to do something that I can just bring the Talon for. Or even the
Having
Senator.
the
Weapons that could easily be so much better
reprimand
will likely never see improvements. For two reasons.
be like a
Realism
single-handed
and
weapon
lore,
would be
and
pretty cool.
because fun isn't the main goal. Why should a throwing knife be more powerful than a bullet? It already is, but to compensate, they made it horribly inaccurate, throwing like a Girl Scout, and not the one that's cracked off Thin Mints, which would be a freaking massive improvement. And for that reason, they can't have it be thrown faster or further than the current state. Why would the accelerator rifle be improved at all? Because it would break the lore, even though I'm pretty sure folks said that gun's supposed to light.
That I disagree with. I think the accelerator rifle should be like improved because like that rifle in Killzone is absolutely fucking disgustingly good. Like I don't know if you've ever played Killzone before, but it's fucking great. I guess that my question is at what level of skill do you really expect the average player to reasonably have? You say aim better, but the main factor affecting aim is the amount of bots shooting you. Again, that's a skill issue because A, there is a system built into the game, and they even give you a tip about it on screen that tells you that enemies can be suppressed. And whenever you shoot near them, I even had a I don't think I posted that clip, did I? I don't think I did. I should post that clip. But basically, I have a clip where I am demonstrating that bots have horrible accuracy if you just put your bullets downrange at them and you don't just sit back and cower. And you might be like, oh, what about there's like, you know, like 20 of them on top of me. Oh, what about that? Throw a fucking nuke on the ground, bro. Use like any of your fucking stratagems. You have 4 stratagem slots plus grenades plus your primary. Like, if you can't deal with that situation, that's not the game, bro. That is you. But yeah, what's it called? What I expect players, right? I expect players to be like half decent at the game. If you are playing difficulty 10 and you are above like level 100 or some shit, you should be at least somewhat reasonably good at the game. Massive controversial opinion, I know, right? Oh my god, cancel me on fucking twitter.com, right? But if you are playing the hardest available difficulty and you are above like, you know, level 100 at like, you know, 130, right? You should have a very good understanding of the game by that point. At least like the basics you should understand. And you should be able to like react to situations and such. And if you don't, how is that the game's fault? How is that balancing issue? Is that not just the player's fault? I don't know.
Light things on fire. 2 things on the
Or you don't stand on the open when you get shot by 20 bots. One scene, all the stratagem available. That too, yep.
Plas rifle. It does light things on fire in the Killzone game.
But at the same time, Meba, like, you know, if you're standing out in the open and you don't have a stratagem available, you know, that's kind of on you, you know what I mean? The level 25s and 30s on D10s, yep. I see a lot of those people. Do that. But, like, I don't really mind the level 20s and 30s, right? Because most of the time, the level 20s and 30s are really, like, funny and cute and, you know, they don't really know what's going on. And then, like, you come up to them, like, being this, like, knight in shining armor with, like, your machine gun, like, mowing down people. They just, like, stare at you. They're like, oh my god, that dude's cool. I want to be like that dude. And I'm just like, yeah, here, take this rifle. Come be with me. You know, just, like, it's fun. It's good. I like it. But, like, there's people that do that. And then they die like 3 times because of their own mistakes. And they're like, oh, this game's shit. Fucking, this enemy needs to be changed. Yeah.
And it did get a buff. The drag went from 1.5 to 0.1. Drag makes bullets do less damage as they travel, and that number is a bit peculiar to put on a sniper in the first place at that value. But hey, it got buffed.
That was so wild, by the way. Drag 1.5 on a sniper rifle, by the way. Like, what the fuck were they thinking with that shit, bro? It's not like an amazing weapon like right now, because like the reload is still abysmally slow, but like, it's still fun. It still can kill shit.
So they can actually change the guns.
I think like it being able to set people on fire, so it would be like, kind of like a... So you know how like the Eruptor can deal with like a lot of like heavy targets pretty easily? I think if it was kind of just like a quote-unquote mini Eruptor and like big quotes or whatever, in terms of like capabilities. So for example, you shoot a target with it and it lights it on fire, and then after like, you know, let's say like a few shots or whatever, like a mag on like a charger, assuming you're hitting like a reasonable spot for it, it would kill it. Like, you know, after the burn ticks and everything. I think that'd be
The
fun.
reload speed is still atrocious though. Why should the Epoch be able to destroy bug holes and open up crates? wouldn't make a whole lot of sense in your universe because plasma shouldn't be able to do that. Meanwhile, my little spear gun can.
Just another thing, the believability is hypocritical. This is also a very good like raise for discussion, because why can't the plasma thing not blow the fucking thing up, bro? Like, are we fucking for real? Like, that thing could absolutely like eviscerate me. If I shoot that bitch at my feet, I turn into mist, and you're telling me that can't destroy a buckhole? Like,
the hard focus on realism and believability creates a vacuum that at a moment's notice can suck the fun out of the game for no good reason. That's part of the reason why the slugger can't destroy crates anymore. It had the ability to at one point in time, but that didn't make any sense. The shotgun, why can't it do that? Why not? Does it really hurt anybody that you can open the crates and get super credits with the shotgun? Is that a big deal? It wasn't believable. But that puts you into a strange spot where now you have to make excuses for why you want to design things the way that they are. And eventually it'll be far too hypocritical and not make any sense.
Again, I completely agree with this as well. Because, insert, here's the yapper, I guess. Yeah. Holy shit, you've been talking for 2 hours already? Rex, the funny thing is, Rex, I already filmed this. I watched this entire video and talked for 2 hours previously. So now I'm talking for pretty much 4 hours straight now. My voice is dying. Like... But yeah. I do think like certain like realism things like should probably kind of just be thrown out, because like realistically, if we're talking about realism, is it real that my leg breaks and then I can inject myself in my fucking neck and then all of a sudden my leg works again? Like, my leg is still broken, gang. Like, what do you mean? That's not very realistic, right? Like, come on.
Kind of like how the Epoch is a stronger version of the Purifier, but yet you have a limited range, roughly 150 meters. Purifier can go as far as you want it to, 200 meters plus.
I still think the Epoch is pretty good. Like, the range is kind of annoying. Yes, I've definitely noticed that. That's like probably one of my biggest gripes about it. So if they did want to change anything, I would take that. But the thing is, the Epoch, right, has so much ammo. You can, I think it's 2-shot, or maybe it's a 3-shot to a Battle Titan on like 4 charge. I can't really remember fully. But you can, it doesn't have a backpack with it. And it's just one singular weapon by itself. So that means that you can wear a guard dog on your back or have a shield at the same time.
And
that is
every
an
shot
insane amount of
lands, whether
value
it's
in a weapon.
charged or uncharged. That
About 2 to
makes
3 shots
no
with it,
sense at all. It's just a random detriment. For what reason? Armor is going the same direction. We have armor pieces that are just taking aspects of different armor and smorgasbording it into itself.
This as well, I completely agree with. We should just be able to transmog armor. Like, there's no reason for it anymore.
In many cases, having a lesser effect. The new Dune armor, for instance, Dust Devils, 40% resistance to acid, gas, electrical, and fire damage, which is just 10% below the Killzone armor. But the difference is this armor now also has 20% throwing distance, which is 10% less than the other armor that gives you 30%. At a certain point, the armor you make won't really match up with the perks it gives you, and that's the whole spiel, isn't it? We can't let you guys pick.
Exactly. That, like, this is such a valid criticism that they say, oh, we have the armor that matches how it looks like or whatever, right? But then now we're having perks on armor that don't match what they look like at all, and they're just becoming this like big amalgamation hybrid armor. So like at that point, just give us the ability to just put any perk on like an armor or whatever. I mean, obviously it should be like within reason, you know? Like what's it called? I think about it now. Actually, you don't really even have to really even do that. Yeah, now that I think about it, you can actually just put like any perk on like any armor and it would pretty much be fine. Because we have like light, medium, and heavy versions of almost every perk or whatever, so it's not like it would really hurt anything. I think like once you buy the perk from that armor or whatever, then it should be okay to like replace it, or like maybe the war bond it came with or whatever. The armor perks and the war bonds. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like put the perks in the war bonds similar to how the boosters are or whatever, and that would be perfectly fine.
Your perks, because then you won't know what your teammates are doing. It wouldn't make sense to have a sleeveless helldiver with extra padding. As if it matters.
Yeah,
this isn't an MMO.
Agreed.
Your teammates' builds, in that case, don't matter at all. And if they do, you make it before you go in the mission. That's how it goes. Nobody, realistically, is doing a thing where they load into a mission and they look at their teammates' loadouts and go, "Oh my gosh, they're wearing this armor. I can mess with that." The only exception.
That's I am the only person that does that, unironically. Like, I'll see some motherfucker wear like flame armor, and then I'll also equip like tons of flame shit with them. Like, I'm just a freak like that. Then not the average person does that.
Is arc armor, and even then, not really. Maybe your teammate has
Trying to
medic
put
armor.
siege ready on ODST armor. See, that's what I'm talking about, Joe. I would love to do that, man. He's so peak if I could do that.
And stim pistol, and you'll really calculate that you have 2 extra seconds, or whatever it is, of stim duration, and that'll drastically change your playstyle. If they land the shot, and even then, no one's really doing that either. People act as if their teammates' armor is a big deal. The main reason they do this is they're glaze divers. They have Sweden syndrome, and for some reason they're okay with all the monkey paw bouncing and the nonsensical realism excuses for why things have to be so scuffed. There's no real explanation behind why we can't have armor that we can simply put the perks we want on and then change it accordingly.
Agreed.
That way you have far more customization of your character, and the bonuses for armor aren't that crazy at the
Agreed. A big word there, more customization for your character. There's already quite a bit of like soft build making, quote unquote, that you can do with like making like an all flame loadout and such like that. But like, imagine you were able to do that plus more. It'd just be more fun. Like, there's literally like no downside to it.
the moment. Speaking of which, why is it that many of the new bonuses are being made, and then shortly after the devs change things in the game that give us a enforced reason to use the armor? Oh guys, bleed damage does so much more now. I might want to wear that new armor that has bleed damage immunity. They took away a ton of spare ammunition, but don't worry.
Oh, should I have my mic? Arrowhead needs to learn when realism is useful and when to gamify. I think as of late they've been doing pretty good at that. Like, we haven't had really a bunch of like balance decisions, so like it's not really fresh on people's minds or whatever. At least like in terms of like weapons or whatever. But I think a lot of people give them too much hate. Like, those devs love Helldivers, bro. They put their heart and soul into this gaming community. They get way too much hate for it. And they also, like, whenever they make a mistake, they immediately go like, hey, like, or maybe not immediately, but like, when they do make a mistake, they, you know, they will be like, hey, like, look, we fucked up, our bad, you know, what's it called? They took out the fucking, the rupture strain, right? And they're giving it back in 5 weeks to rework it. So, does it help when your PR team is so snobby? Is their PR team snobby? Barn? From what I've seen, their PR team, like, I think Baskinator is the community manager, right? She's like she seems really, really sweet and nice. I haven't really seen her do anything or snobby. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really, like, look at everything that they say. Hello, Loot Crate. Again, that's a cute name. And the silencers don't work. They get their heads about the game balance. Oh, no, surveys on turn. Good. No, Joe, no, they definitely, like, 110,000%. They look at the, what am I trying to say? I'm fucking stuttering like a moron. The feedback. Actually, do you remember when, at the start of the game, it was really hard to, like, find people in a game? And then they introduced the thing where you can, like, do, like, the scan feature or whatever. I actually sent in a feedback form where I suggested something very similar to that, and I'm not even joking, like, a few weeks later they added it. So, like, unless a lot of people suggested that, or, like, they were already thinking about it like, beforehand, which obviously, you know, could happen. They were, you know, they're pretty smart devs in my opinion. They could have thought about that, like, beforehand. But in my humble opinion, I think that they took the like, feedback from me and other people and then put that in the game. But that's just me. Also, the entire 60-day patch, like, that is entirely just, like, feedback from players. They hate for saying they're gonna work on it. It goes wild. God forbid they actually hunker down. Asky's fine. It's a few other bad eggs that spoiled the bunch. Someone recently asked kindly if it was looking for a fix for performance issues. PC bricked in the... Well, my stats don't show that. Well, you also have to remember, Barn, those people, like, obviously I'm not going to excuse, like behavior like that, but, like, those people have to deal with, like, the most stupid, insane people that don't understand how games like work in general, the amount of people that they have to deal with that like send in a ticket because they just like don't have like the right controller or some shit like that, like plugged in or whatever, or just something stupid, or like just something entirely like, for example, I remember one time one of my game development friends, they had a ticket. They worked on like a QA team, or not QA team, a community like managing team, right? And they got a ticket where somebody was having problems with what's it called? I can't say the game actually. How do I word this? Uh, how do I word? Oh yeah, I got it. So basically, they were having a problem with the game, right? And they were saying like, "Oh, the performance is so bad. It's so dog shit. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad." Lo and behold, they were roasting this my friend or whatever, and saying that they were a dog shit, like like support person. But lo and behold, the problem was that that person that made that ticket was playing a very modern game. I can't say what game it is because I don't want to get in trouble with my friend. But they were playing a modern game, a very modern game, on an HHD or HDD. Sorry, they weren't playing it on the SSD, and they were getting absolutely fucking like dog shit performance or whatever, and not able to load the game like properly and shit. But yeah, a lot of people have those types of stupid mentalities where they just immediately fucking complain and like aggravate or aggravated and take it out on like the devs and stuff like that without taking a step back and seeing things from a bigger picture. And that's why I try to that's why I like to follow like Quacks and like a lot of other like Riot devs for like League of Legends, because League of Legends devs like get so much hate and so much bullied. But like they're people, man. They're all people. They're all like just wanting to like make a good game and have a good time and shit like that. And I do not think that being able to yell at people for reasons like that is a really good sentiment to have in life. I understand what they go through. Video crap, no doubt. Probably have answered from on PC because of game performance. Oh yeah, I should have said more about it. Sorry, but like for example, like that's bad. Obviously, like that's a really bad situation or whatever. And it rubs you wrong. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I agree with you with that one. Assuming that that's how the story actually like went or whatever. I didn't see it, so I obviously don't know. But like I'm just trying to say that like they're people as well. They have problems. They have bullshit going on as well. You know what I mean? Does it excuse it? No, but like just try to keep an open mind and such.
Worry, you can get Siege Ready, giving you a little bit back, and faster reloads for anything that's not a support weapon. Actually, it's only your primary weapon. I'm probably the only one who cares, but why can't I preview the operation?
This, by the way, I watched this.
Hovering
Please
over
give it back, Arrowhead.
the
Please,
operation
please,
itself. Instead, I see a ship icon that tells me.
Shall go back because I was yelling.
Actually, it's only your primary weapon. I'm probably the only one who cares, but why can't I preview the operation when hovering over the operation itself? Instead, I see a ship icon that tells me nothing. Before, it would show you what missions were in the operation. I'm fairly
like, bro, give this back to me, bro. I hate clicking on it multiple times. Like, just give it back to me, man. That's all I want. I just want to be able to hover over the fucking thing and see what missions they are. That's all I want. Please. Like,
certain. Now I gotta click it, zoom in real quick. If I don't like it, zoom out and press on. I also am fairly certain that y'all have a higher chance of putting missions in the darkness versus the light. Why can't we have 6 operations total?
I get salty and say these fucking devs. Yeah, dude, that's perfectly fine. There is a massive difference between keeping your frustrations in a controlled, safe environment and then venting those frustrations out on somebody else. That's where a lot of problems have. For example, I'll be playing like some like annoyingly hard game, right? And I get shit on. Like I'm dog shit at this game, right? I get absolutely fucking murdered. And then I'm like, God, this fucking shit's pissing me off, grr. God, I fucking hate this enemy, this fucking stupid bitch, grr. Rah, 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 type shit, right? But that's in my own little bubble. Would I ever go up to a dev that made that fucking game and be like, hey, you're a bitch because you made this and you're bad? That is insanity, bro. That is genuine insanity. No. Now, would I go like, hey, if I have the opportunity to talk to you about a thing in a constructive criticism, way, absolutely, I would do that, 1000%. But would I ever yell at them? No, fuck no. karate chop him without even blinking.
And most, like, half of them are in the light, half of them are at nighttime. And then you have more chance of getting missions you actually want to do versus me having to Alt F4, which does two things. It can either preserve the operation.
Don't remind me when I fought Margit day one, the things I said. My favorite thing about fighting those type of bosses is like you fight them for so long, you get so angry, so annoyed, right? And then you beat them and you're like, I am God. I have ascended. I alone am the honored one. Like the euphoria you feel after that fucking moment is so peak.
You're already in, or the mission you're in, or it can just fully reset your other operation choices. Modifiers are still being used in a very boring way. Bug spores, you can't see anything. Oh, congrats, this is awesome. Guys, I'm being challenged. No, you're not.
I also agree with this. The statuses or whatever, or the like things that can affect missions, those are very boring, dude. Like these are all boring as fuck. Like the only cool thing here is like maybe ion storms because they look pretty, but like that's like it. Like other than that, they're just fucking annoying.
Okay, bug spores, you can't see anything. Oh, congrats, this is awesome. Guys, I'm being challenged. No, you're not. Your time's being wasted. It's not fun at all. You had the operational modifiers that sometimes are okay. It's not a huge deal. But you made it to where the Illuminate had 7-minute extraction times at one point. What are we talking about? The most boring faction in the game, and you make the extraction time longer. Eagle rearm time increased by 30% and less ammo on pickups. On the missions that have caves, in which you can't really call in stuff that well to begin with, and you don't really get to use any call-ins in the caves themselves.
Yep.
Why? An example of good modifiers
are condition is fire tornadoes. Exactly, Joe. Exactly. Fire tornadoes are so fucking peak, bro. Fire tornadoes are absolutely awesome, and I love them. Fucking cool as hell.
Gunships, shriekers, and if you ever made it for the stingrays, that's another one too, because you can kill those. That's something you can actually be.
Alright, let me catch a bunch of. I agree with that so much. Statuses are so lame. Agreed. He talks about it here, but the ones that have like shriekers and like the additional like gameplay, like actual gameplay elements, like I like the fire tornadoes. I like these guys, like things that you actually have to watch out for. The meteors make for some really fun fucking moments. I think those are all really like really cool things that impact gameplay and like are fun. Maybe not so much the meteors or whatever because like they're kind of like very easy to avoid. But I really, 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 really like the fire tornadoes. I think they're so pretty looking, and I think that like they create such a like hype. Oh shit, I'm fucking dying moment. Like, thank you for the follow, Trail. Literally, it was meant for you, not brother. One of the damn caves. Him and everyone, lol. It's fair to want something and not be happy with the result. Sure. Caves built on duct tape and 99 cents water is not good. I personally like the caves. Like, I think the caves are so like pretty looking. They're so like awesome. Like they have a few like design like map generation issues. Same with the hell pods like not going into the right areas. I think that should be looked at, of course. But the actual like look and like main like areas are pretty fucking cool. I like them. Red tornadoes are dope. When there are 6 of them around the extraction point, it's very funny, bro. It's very funny. I had a point one time where I was extracting, and I'm not even fucking with you. Like 4 fire tornadoes all came like on all corners of the extraction. We just couldn't get out, and we just died. It was so fucking funny, dude. But like that doesn't happen all the time, and it's okay for it to happen. Like a genuine, just hey, fuck you, we're Mother Nature, we're gonna kill you type moment. But yeah. Caves are cool, but they need some tweaking and generation audio issue. Yep, also audio issues. That's a really good one to bring up subject. That was a very good point. Audio issues are kind of really, really bad at the moment. I just don't think anyone. I don't think anyone dislikes the caves. I think a lot of people that I've talked to really dislike the caves or whatever. I personally really, really like them. I think they're cool. How about the hive lung? It's one of my favorite missions. Oh yeah, I love the hive lung one, where you just like run in past like 30 fucking enemies and such, and then you just detonate the hell bomb on yourself and blow up the lung. Feels really good. I was running fire resistant armor and standing in the center of a tornado. And my new friend thought they didn't do damage and walked on dives to die. That's really
Be
funny.
aware of, build for, you're chilling. It'd be amazing if you could actually choose your own modifiers. Just saying. And for operational modifiers, I like Hive Lords. That was a lot of complaining, but I do have some actionable solutions. First and foremost, learn from your mistakes. Don't just repeat them over and over again. And
So like, I got to this point in the video, and on my recording, I was like, yeah, he understands it. He understands that players do need to just learn from their mistakes a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, sure, some problems are in the game, and some problems are kind of shitty or whatever. But like, you know, yes, we're learning from mistakes. We're being good gamers and being smart and shit. And then
in reference to the bunker turret fiasco that still happens today and is still in full effect on War Striders.
And then he was talking about the devs, and I'm like, ah, shit.
Give enemies meaning.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I agree. Like, the bunker turrets are fucking annoying. But like, you know, I thought he was also gonna talk about players as well, needing to somewhat improve as well.
Meaningful weak spots. You're still not learning from that, even though automatons are growing to be the most adored faction. Folks still love the bugs, sure, but in terms of having a good time playing the game, I feel as though people are leaning towards automatons. The bugs just have a special place in
They
the
see
heart
you
because of
walking
Starship
at gas
Troopers,
with heavy
but not so
booster,
much the
or
gameplay
heavy
being
booster,
riveting
yeah.
in many cases. There's two reasons why players are enjoying automatons more. They have meaningful breakpoints and weak points. This opens the door for so much more impactful variety of your loadouts. That just means the game can be enjoyed in far more ways. The exception, of course, is War Striders, but aside from that, it's a pretty well-balanced faction. It would be in your best interest to stop focusing so much on difficulty and instead make the game more enjoyable, and especially stop trying to make it so you can't solo the highest difficulty. Because to do that properly, it requires levels of arbitrary difficulty that make your game unfun to play. Because in the current state,
Disagree kind of with that. I do not think that the game should be like easily soloable, or like it should be like pretty easy and like, you know, cookie cutter to do solo dives or whatever. I don't think like there's a world where like that ever has any like good benefit, because if you're able to do anything good in solo play, you're able to do it 4 times better in multiplayer.
you can still solo the max difficulty. I've done it for every faction, even with the Hive Lords, Dragon Roaches, Rupture Strain,
You
all at
can
the same
right now.
time.
You can. That is totally a thing
It's just
you
not very
can
fun.
do. Yeah, exactly. It's not meant to be fun. You're not supposed. It's meant to be played with 4 people. You're meant to be like playing with your homies and shit like that. You know, like every bit of promotional material for Helldivers always has 4 Helldivers on screen. If you go to the trailer for Helldivers, right, there's 4 of them that are in that lobby or in that fucking video. Any like promotional material they release for Helldivers, it's fucking 4 of them standing on top of a thing with like enemies all around them. It's always meant to be played with 4 players or whatever. Now, you can play solo, but it's not really advised. If you want to do that, sure, but you have to realize that you are putting these restrictions on yourself, and you have to deal with those restrictions. You can't be playing like, you know, Dark Souls and go into New Game plus 10 and be like, damn, this game is way harder now. Bad. Like you're willingly full like doing that to yourself.
And that's the issue. When you make it to where people can't solo, you're likely going to affect everything else about the game to the point where it's no longer as fun to play. And for what? To say your game is more challenging? Oh, our players have a hard time beating max difficulty. You can do that, but in a more meaningful way. It does not take any skill or actual effort to just crank a slider and make the game unfun to play, and thus more difficult. Focus on making the game for the millions of folks that bought it to have a good time playing it, and not your current target audience of yes men that have nothing but positive words to say about everything you do.
So I half agree with the sentiment. The first half, right here,
of yes, unfun to play. Actual effort to just crank a slider
right here,
and make the game unfun to play, and thus more difficult. Focus on making the game for the millions of folks that bought it to have a good time playing it. And
I agree with that. Focus on what the players want. And that's why I've asked this question like 17 times to stream already. Do people want the game to just be easier? Do they want the game to just be less, you know, arbitrary or like difficult or whatever, and like, you know, have easier like, you know, breakpoints and all that other shit like that? Is that what the players want? Do they want the game to just be genuinely easier? What's it called? Or do they not want that? But I don't think this next part right here
not your current target audience of yes men that have nothing but positive words to say about everything you do. Because are they really helping you? Look at where you always end up, which is needing to backtrack on the things you've been doing. You should not need a...
I don't think all the, like, there's not like a lot of yes men. Like, I mean, obviously there's a decent handful or whatever that like will just look at something blatantly wrong or whatever and then say like, oh, it's just a skill issue or whatever, you know what I mean? But there are things in this game that are a skill issue and that you need to improve, and then there are things that are just a little bit unfair and need to be tweaked or whatever. That's perfectly fine. But I don't think just like demonizing people that, you know, say like, hey, maybe you should improve, and then just calling them like yes men or whatever are really like a good sentiment to have, because if you have nothing to challenge like your gameplay or whatever, it's just going to be really easy. I brought this up when I was recording this. In a game like Warframe, for example, right? Totally different game, obviously, but it has the same problem where at the end of the day, like once you reach like end game and shit and you have like everything, you are so powerful, you genuinely like can, I'm not even joking, like AFK and like not be like in any danger whatsoever. And the game can just kind of play itself. And like I'm LR5, you know what I mean? I played that game for thousands of hours and shit like that. I have quite literally everything in the game. Like if you do that, you get to a point where it's like that, and you're just not really gonna have fun anymore. You need some sort of challenge. You need some sort of wall. You need some sort of like improvement for the player to want to come back and keep like, you know, getting better at and shit like that. So I think we should like trying to find the line between skill issue and genuine like gameplay should be tweaked is, you know, I watched them. It is possible to do.
60-day plan every 180 days. You are taking advice from people that do not know what's good for the game, and it shows. Helldivers 2 is one of a kind, so iconic in many different aspects.
It is
but you guys are making it into a game that folks didn't buy. If you had your way initially, if the game turned out to be exactly as you wanted it and there was no game-breaking glitches, I do not believe you'd be as successful. Because the glitches added power fantasy that you were not intentionally putting, believe you'd be as successful. Because the glitches added power fantasy that you were not...
Why didn't... Can you not stem while you're in the mech? I swear you could. I don't know why you just didn't stem
intentionally putting into the game itself. And it turns out that when folks can't kill things in a decent time frame, they don't have fun. So recognize that and focus on what makes the game so good. Into the
this
game
right
itself.
Here, this was a really big like red flag for me.
And it turns out that when folks can't kill things in a decent time frame, they don't have fun.
So again, I keep saying this over and over. Where do we expect the line to fall between, hey, you should learn where to hit the enemy, and hey, you should what's it called? You should like tweak the enemy so it's easier to kill. And I think a lot of this can kind of be boiled down to like enemy design. So for example, like, you know, this Devastator or this chainsaw, what's it called, dude? He has a big red spot and a big red spot, right? That tells you where to shoot. A lot of bugs, they don't really have that. A lot of people just shoot the heads. They don't even realize that the legs are actually like one of their like main weak points, whatever.
So recognize that and focus on what makes the game so good. If I can better explain that if you need. I want this game to be as good as it can. In the same way, I wanted Dauntless to be as good as it could before it got shut down. That's a really interesting take. This said the employee for Phoenix Labs. It's a hard one to balance because the wow with the F moments don't necessarily make a healthy, balanced game. It's a PvE game, dog.
Yeah.
The game ain't gonna be no one cares about balance if it's dead. Your game's doing great. How about you don't pile drive it 6 feet deep to target the weirdest people because they don't even really exist. They might sit there and put on some facade saying to themselves, or saying that they say not to themselves but to the people on the internet because they're trying to fit in. Yeah, man, this is actually really sick. Just get...
Okay, this is another thing right here that I half agree but half disagree with.
They might sit there and put on some facade saying to themselves, or saying that they say not to themselves but to the people on the internet because they're trying to fit in. Yeah, man, this is actually really sick. Just get better, bro. Skill issue. The game's becoming slower for no reason. Skill issue. So who is the game being made for? The audience they talk about targeting doesn't really exist. They wouldn't be able to keep the game alive if that's really who you're going after. Because even in Helldivers 1, there was still power fantasy. In Helldivers 2, there is kind of, but you're just making these changes to reduce the pace of the gameplay to a point that it's no longer really intense in a meaningful fashion.
Yeah. Here, I think that, for example, like, just saying, like, well, I mean, obviously, I don't know the context between, like, why someone was saying, like, skill issue, like, fully or whatever. Like, obviously, you said it, like, right back here or whatever.
Man, it's actually or saying that they say not. They might sit there and put on some facade,
like right here,
saying to themselves, or saying that they say not to themselves, but to the people on the internet because they're trying to fit in. Yeah, man, this is actually really sick. Just get better, bro. Skill issue. The game's becoming slower for no reason. Skill issue. So who is the game being?
Yeah, like, for example, like right there, I don't think just anyone who says like, hey, this is something that you could also like just like be playing better, because I've already pointed out like a fucking like 7, 8, 9, 10 things that in the video clips that he's shown could have been, you know, done differently if they just, you know, were using the brain a little bit better or whatever, you know. But like, it's fucking, what's it called? The segment is where they're referring to other videos. We had a lot of people coming in for live stream and antagonizing him. Oh, I see. So he was annoyed. That's perfectly okay. Then I get that. But like, for someone who doesn't really watch or whatever, you know, you also have to remember this is a content creator. You know, like I'm watching this for the first time. I don't know what the fuck he's like in reference to and shit like that. So kind of have to like give a little bit more context to it, because to me it just sounds like he's just talking about anyone that says like, hey, play better, and then demonizing them or whatever and calling them yes men, which I don't think he's actually trying to do, but that's how it kind of comes off as. So like for me, I'm over here saying like, you know, hey, maybe don't do this very silly mistake that you're doing, and then do this. It's really not that big of a deal. And then now I feel like I'm being called like a yes man and like a fucking, you know, a rage baiter or something like that. Like I'm just giving you like fair advice or whatever. It's his weakest segment. I mean, it depends. For example, if he was talking about like, uh, let's say like, for example, like pre-changed Leviathans, how they would just like fucking snipe you basically, like while you were like full running, or like bunker cannons or whatever, and then they just say like, ah, skill issue. Like, I understand, like that's just being, you know, a dickhead that's being in a nuisance, right? What I would do to that situation, I would say like, okay, here's what you can do to tackle this situation and take care of it effectively in the meantime. But let's also discuss ways to improve this enemy so it's not as frustrating. That's how I would handle that situation.
Being made for. The audience they talk about targeting doesn't really exist. They wouldn't be able to keep the game alive if that's really who you're going after.
There was some counterplay, but there wasn't.
Because even in Helldivers 1, there was still
kind of
power fantasy. In Helldivers 2, there is kind of, but you're just making these changes to reduce the pace of the gameplay to a point that it's no longer really intense in a meaningful fashion. It just becomes boring. And I believe the player base who sit there and excuse every little thing are a major problem, if not the cause, for why Helldivers 2 does not feel as fun as it should. Like, it's your
if they excuse every single thing, yes, true. But if they don't excuse every single thing, and like, you know, people are just saying like, hey, you could actually do this, and it is just like kind of a skill issue, just play a little bit better, here's how you could do it, and then you call them like a yes man or whatever, then that's gonna be bad. But I don't think that's what he's doing, because he didn't say that at all right there.
Expect more, get less, but the game's pretty good at the moment. The game being better than it was doesn't make it necessarily like amazing. That's what folks don't get. Like, I'm basing the game off of what it could be and like what I guess it should be. Other folks are basing it off of, is it better than it was? Okay, cool. It's good, guys. We can stop improving it now. Meanwhile, the game wants feedback. So what's more impactful? The person who says the game's fine as is, or the person who says the game's good, but it could be better? It's rather unfortunate, no matter how bright I draw the picture.
You see, that's the thing though. Like, I had the sentiment of like, for example, this, he was saying this right here.
Other folks are basing it off of, is it better than it was? Okay, cool. It's good, guys. We can stop improving it now. Meanwhile, the game wants feedback.
I don't think really anyone is saying, hey, we can stop now. I think anyone who plays this game, like, at least for like a lot, will say like, hey, shit got buffed. It's cool now. I can't wait for the next stuff to get buffed, or like the next, like, you know, stuff to get some love or some new stuff to come out, you know what I mean? To make it even better and more quality of life, more good shit, right? I don't think anyone is saying, okay, we stop now. That's just not how like the average gamer like really works anymore. Like,
so what's more impactful? The person who says the game's fine as is, or the person who says the game's good, but it could be better. It's rather unfortunate, no
Yeah,
matter
I mean that's what I try to do too as well. I try to say that the game is very good, it's very fun, it's very awesome. But yeah, it can be better. There are definitely some things that we can change for the better and make it just a more lovely experience overall.
how bright I draw the picture, there'll still be Krilla crash outs that can't comprehend it. I use examples, I did everything. I've maintained this same stance for a year and a half. But hey, I'm a rage baiter, I got a skill issue, insert random nonsense.
I don't think he's a rage baiter. I do think some of his problems are skill issue related, just like how some of mine are skill issue related.
I do want to close with a review I wrote a long time ago that I'm now going to be using.
Not all of them though, of course. Like there's plenty that are like, he has very, very, very valid points that actually should be taken into consideration. But I do think that like some of them are a little bit skill issue and like you to maybe just kind of chill out or whatever. Yeah.
Again, essentially. One of the biggest fumbles in gaming history. I can't tell if it's incompetence, ego, or intentional self-sabotage to save on server fees. The writing was on the wall ever since patch 0.100, where they tried to adjust any AI thinking players wouldn't notice while also increasing headshot damage players take. Fun isn't a word Arrowhead is familiar with, and instead they're dead set on making the game catered to a core audience of Muppets and Yes Men. They want players without critical thought or an understanding of the game because those are the only people who can attempt to appreciate the dumpster fire of a game that Arrowhead has created out of Helldivers 2. It wasn't a honeymoon phase or anything like that. It was the intentional changes made by Arrowhead, which to this day make no sense. I did get a lot of enjoyable gameplay out of the game, but there's no excuse for the caricature of a game that Helldivers 2 parades itself around as now. The community is an army of glazy gladiators actually, with Stockholm Syndrome, ready and willing to glaze the game at a moment's notice regardless of what's happening. The majority don't comprehend basic mechanics or simple math. They think that facts are opinions, and these are the folks devs take advice from. The game isn't enjoyable anymore. It's not a difficult...
That's
too
just
difficult.
factually wrong. There's people, like, there's all sorts of different players that they take feedback from. They take feedback from the people who, like, only really play, like, level 4 and, like, that's it, and, like, 5 and 6. Then they also take plenty of feedback from people that play like level 10 only. They take feedback from people that solo dive. Like, if they didn't take feedback from people that played like solo or whatever and such, then we wouldn't have the changes. You remember when they made like enemy patrols or like levels like harder for people that like solo dived? So like the less people you had, the harder it got. They reverted that change because people that wanted to solo dive gave that feedback. So that's just like actually wrong.
It's just not rewarding or engaging. It's simply a waste of my time when I'm spending upwards of an hour trying to find something I could enjoy. Missions are like 40 minutes sometimes. All the devs know is arbitrary difficulty, and I don't see that really changing. It's a horde shooter that plays like a tactical shooter with hordes of enemies. Just another game to add to a growing list of what could have been if folks who had a semblance of a clue were running the show.
When was this made?
This was made, I believe, more than a year and a half ago. This review. That's why I said
more than a year and a half ago. Escalation of Freedom, or not Escalation, the 60-day patch came out, like, pretty much a year, yeah, more than a year at this point, right? So it must have been before the 60-day patch came out. So that must have been, like, when the game was, like, at its, like, almost absolute lowest. So I can understand, like, why he would be so frustrated in this post. If they didn't want to take feedback, they wouldn't have done the 60-day patch. Yeah, well, I think he made this... Yeah, he made this before that 60-day patch, so he kind of felt like all of his complaints were on like deaf ears, so it's understandable. But I still think like typing a lot of this shit out is kind of like wild, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously they're all like valid criticisms of him, whatever, like talking about the game. So I mean, I personally wouldn't type anything like this, but I don't know. I would just feel like rude or whatever. Like I wouldn't say like incompetence, ego, or whatever. Like no, dude. Like they're fucking they're good people that work on the game, man. Awesome, they're sweet, they're cool. They just want to have the best experience for us or whatever. But sometimes they accidentally like make an oopsie and fuck up. And sure, it can be frustrating and annoying. Like for example, like the rupture strain is kind of broken or whatever. But they're still people.
it says previous review, but hey, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I wish that were true. Anywho, thanks for watching and have a good day.
Well, that was a good video. I like it. Yeah. My thoughts about that video pretty much overall is like we need to find in the community where the split between the like what players want. So like, do players want the game to be easier and less difficult? Do we want to reward people who do less like research and such like that, or do we want to have, you know, how like the game is kind of like right now, where like anyone can still kind of enjoy it and have fun even on difficulty 10. Like I bring people that are pretty dog shit at the game into level 10 missions, and we still get through the mission perfectly fine and shit. We shall see. I think overall that was a pretty good video though, raising mostly pretty good concerns. There was a couple of things in there that I think I don't know about it, but yeah, that is what I wanted to say about that. As for now though, I think I'll probably hop off for a little bit, finish editing a little bit of my videos, upload some bullshit. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take this VOD and then upload it. For anyone watching this in the future that is watching the VOD, I'm going to upload this whole motherfucking thing. Let me know what you think in the comments, please, because I love debating games, but like, I don't want to be like an asshole. I want to like keep things civilized. I like hearing people talk about their opinion. I like hearing people explaining from their side, because I am me. I am one person. I have my experiences and you have your experience. So being able to hear how things are from your experience and your side with your, just situations and such makes for a very good discussion. And everyone here, I think at the end of the day, just wants this game to be better and be more fun and be more enjoyable for everyone involved. So I think having that discussion is a very, very good and healthy thing to do. So, how dare you have an opinion? Yeah, I know, right? I just like being a yappuccino. I'm a pretty good yappuccino as well. Have a nice night, Michelle. Thank you. Let's find someone real quick though. I shall be back a little bit later, but I'm going to go edit some now.
Perfecting your crow pose? That's a challenge. But finding the right multivitamin? That's easy. Garden of Life Organic Women's Once Daily Multivitamin is made from over 30 certified organic fruits, vegetables, and herbs.
Oh yeah, I forgot that y'all can hear that because I have my YouTube open. My bad. I'll bring it over here so I can see.
Breathe in and start your wellness journey today with
Start
Garden
your
of
wellness
Life.
journey today. Fuck off.
Their whole fucking team is at this point.
Yo, a Nar player? Listening to Money on the Dash too? I fuck with that. You wanna read him? He seems pretty nice. Alright, chat. Y'all have a lovely one. And as always,
Yep.
Thank you for your time.
What the fuck was that, Zach?
As always, thank you for your time. The only thing that you cannot get back on this world. And I shall see you later. Y'all have a wonderful time. Take care. Bye.